Chapter 44. Uxian stood up and walked in front of me. She held my face and said, "You're too polite. You have such a beautiful face, but your IQ is obviously not as good as your looks. Don't you understand? You're an extra in this family. Not only are you an extra, but the child in your belly is an extra as well. When you weren't here, this family was very warm. But after you came, everyone was on your side. They almost forgot about my existence." I shook off Uxian's hand and said, "You think too highly of yourself. If it weren't for the things you did, would Duanmuke have started to hate you?" "Shut up," Uxian shouted at me. "Your appearance completely confused Duanmugich. If it weren't for you, he would have fulfilled the promise he made to me when we were young. He would have married me. You didn't just confuse him, you also messed up my life. You're really hopeless. It seems that when Dad wanted to investigate, I should have supported him instead of standing up to stop him." Uxian sneered and said, "You think he'll find out if you let him? Why wouldn't he find out? I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. Indeed, I was the one who pushed you down at the hospital. Of course, I didn't push you. I pushed someone else. That person bumped into you and directly knocked you to the ground. The timing was so coincidental. Just at that time, a car drove over. But I didn't expect you to be so lucky." Listening to Uxian's recount of the events of that day, although I had already guessed that she was the one who did it, I was still shocked. Uxian continued, "As for the incident where you accidentally ate the saffron, I can only say that I think the heavens were helping me that day. When I walked into the living room from upstairs, I saw Xiao Fingya asleep on the sofa. So I pretended to look for fruit and walked into the kitchen. At that time, the nanny wasn't there. She said that day that I found out that she went out to buy seasonings. The chef was the only one left in the kitchen. He was busy cooking, and all the dishes were placed on the table. This was a golden opportunity. Do you think I would miss it? Aren't you afraid that I'll sue you for murder?" I looked at Uxian and asked. Uxian walked in front of me and pressed me against the rattan chair. "Sue me. You can't do it. You're too soft-hearted. I noticed it not long after you came here. It's because of your weakness that I have a chance to play with you. Aren't you afraid that Duanmuke will find out your true colors?" If Uxian had a weakness, it would be her love for Duanmu Quebec. Uxian froze for a moment, then let go of me. She sat across from me and said, "I did everything for him. No matter how bad he treats me, I still love him. Even if he confronts me, I will let him understand my thoughts." Hearing Uxian's words, I couldn't help but sneer. "Uxian, you're too naive. Do you really think that Duanmuke will believe your words?" Uxian stood up and looked at me. "You'll know sooner or later that I'm right." After saying that, Uxian turned around and walked towards the living room. I sat on the rattan chair and thought about what Uxian had said. I suddenly felt that she was very pitiful. She truly loved someone, and for that person, she lost her good nature and became a cold-blooded animal. Fortunately, we'll be leaving in a few days. We won't have to worry about her trying to harm us. I stayed for a while, then returned to my room. Just as I was about to go upstairs, I saw the nanny carrying a box of beer, carefully climbing the stairs. I walked towards her and asked, "What's this?" When the nanny saw me, she put the box down. She wiped the sweat from her forehead and said, "Young mistress, this is the beer Uxian wanted. She asked me to bring it to her." I looked at her suspiciously. "Why does she want beer? You haven't been home for a few days, so you don't know. She's been like this for several days. She gets drunk every day. Sometimes, she doesn't eat when we call her to eat. Madam and master don't know what to do with her, so they just let her be. That's not right. I'll go with you." Then, I followed the nanny to Uxian's room. The nanny knocked on the door, put down the box of beer, and left. When I entered the room, the smell of alcohol hit my face. I subconsciously covered my nose and moved towards the door. I glanced at Uxian's room. Although it wasn't very big, it was very clean. There was nothing in the room except for a single bed, a wardrobe with 3 doors, and a simple desk. Uxian was sitting on the floor leaning against the window. She was holding a bottle of beer in one hand and covering her head with the other, looking at the scenery outside the window. Seeing that she didn't respond, I knocked on the door. She looked up, saw me, and turned her head away. I leaned against the doorpost and crossed my arms in front of my chest. I looked at her and asked, "What's the point of ruining yourself?" Yuxian didn't turn her head. She coldly replied, "That's my business. It has nothing to do with you. I don't want to care about you. And I know you don't want me to care about you either. You want Duanmuke to care about you, so you can act pitiful in front of him. Do you think it's useful? Are you done talking? This is my room. Please leave." Yuxian looked at me impatiently and glared at me. "I don't want to stay here either. I hope you can do what I told you in the garden. The biggest difference between you and me is our understanding of love. Love isn't hate, but mutual giving and dependence." At this moment, Yuxian stood up and walked towards me with an empty bottle of beer in her hand. She stopped in front of me. I didn't dodge, and she didn't move. At this moment, Duanmuke's voice came from behind us. "What are you doing?" I turned around and saw Duanmuquebec. Yuxian also saw Duanmuquebec. Her sharp eyes instantly became very gentle. Duanmuke walked towards us. He stopped in front of me and looked at the bottle of beer in Yuxian's hand. Then he looked at me and said, "Wifey, why are you here? This place reeks of alcohol. You can't stay here. Go back first. I want to talk to her." I shook my head, indicating that I didn't want him to talk to Yuxian alone. Duanmuke patted my shoulder and gave me a meaningful look. "Be good, go back in and have a good rest. You haven't rested since you came back from the hospital. I don't know where you went to play. I'll talk to her for a while. Don't worry, you can't eavesdrop outside the door. If I find out, I'll punish you." I understood that he had come prepared. It seemed like he had something to talk to Yuxian about. I glanced at Yuxian, then turned around and walked towards the bedroom door. When I reached the bedroom, I turned around and saw that Yuxian's door was closed. Chapter 45. I anxiously waited in my room for Duanmuke to come back. I was worried that he would hurt Yuxian, but I was also worried that he would be bewitched by Yuxian. Perhaps it was just like Yuxian said. My heart was too soft. No matter how much Yuxian tried to frame me, I still had to think about how to resolve the conflict between us. I sat in front of my desk, casually flipping through a book, but I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about what Yuxian and Duanmuke were talking about in that room. At this time, the door was pushed open, and Duanmuke walked in. He looked at me with a helpless expression, then threw himself onto the bed and covered his head with a pillow. I walked over and lay down next to him, leaning my head on his shoulder. Duanmuke took the opportunity to pull me into his arms without saying a word. "What's wrong?" I asked, gently patting his back. "Shaoli, I suddenly feel like there's nothing I can do for you." He hugged me tightly. "You're thinking too much. You've already done enough for me." I cupped his face. "What did Yuxian say to you to make you like this?" Yuxian keeps saying that she likes me, that she loves me, but I feel like her love is too selfish. Actually, I know how she feels about you. Seeing her stubbornness without any results, sometimes I feel that she's very pitiful." I gently patted his back. "After you left, I told her that if she were to hurt you again, I wouldn't let her go. But when I was about to leave, she hugged me from behind. I broke free from her grip and asked her to control her emotions. But I didn't expect her to push me to the ground and press me under her body. She kissed my lips without restraint and even began to take off her clothes. When I saw her like that, I felt extremely disgusted, so I pushed her away and slapped her. Duanmuke covered his head. "You slapped her?" Sure enough, what I was worried about happened. Duanmuke looked at me and nodded. "And then? You just came out?" After I slapped her, she sat on the ground in shock. Then she stood up and took off all her clothes in front of me. I didn't look at her. I just told her to have some self-respect and was about to come out. But I didn't expect her to stop me. "What did she say to you?" Duanmuke sighed again. "She said that even if I didn't have feelings for her, she would still love me. She would also remove all the people around me who would endanger her feelings for me, including you." I stroked his hair. "That's what I expected," I said. I don't know if she said she was angry or not, But I warned her that if she kept bothering us, I would kick her out, and she wouldn't even take half a step into our house. It seemed Dwanmuke didn't know what to do with her. To put it bluntly, Uxian cared about him too much. That was why she had done so many wrong things. Although he and I both knew that Uxian had done it, we didn't have any evidence. Dwanmuke hugged me. All right. I don't want to think about it anymore. You don't want to think about it either. I'm tired. Lie down with me for a while. Then he hugged me. I leaned against his chest and listened to his heartbeat. Gradually I closed my eyes. When I woke up again, it was already night time. I looked at the time. It was time for dinner. I woke Dwanmuke up. After tidying up, we went downstairs. Xiaofingya had already prepared a table full of dishes. After we sat down, Dwanmuke glanced at the dishes on the table. Then he looked at Uxian and Xiaofingya. Xiaofingya seemed to understand something. Don't worry. I bought the food and cooked it myself. What's wrong? You don't even trust your mother? No. Dwanmuke made a face at Xiaofingya. Then he sat next to me and filled my plate with food. I felt very embarrassed. While we were eating, Dwanmuke suddenly remembered something. He turned to Dwanmutachio and asked, Father, have you arranged things for us at the villa? It's already been arranged. Your Uncle Zhang sent people over. When they went in to take a look, there were quite a few things missing in the villa, including purchasing and simple decorating. It would take about a week, Dwanmu Lixiong said. Dwanmuke thought for a moment and said, Father, can you speed things up? I glanced at Uxian. Although she was eating with her head lowered, I could feel that her expression was becoming more and more unnatural. It seemed she knew that we were going to move out. At this time Xiaofingya said, Why are you in such a hurry? Do you have to leave? Can't you stay? I think your mother is right. If it's just the two of you, food and shelter will be a problem. If you can't do it, you can stay here. I've made up my mind. If you don't want to tell me, I'll tell Uncle Zhang to hurry up. Dwanmuke put down his bowl and chopsticks. His expression was very serious. Xiaofingya also put down her chopsticks. If you can't do it, why don't you ask Xiaoli's mother to come and live with us? That way you can rest assured and we can both take care of Xiaoli. Care, what do you think? Mother, don't worry about it. This has nothing to do with you. I was the one who insisted on moving out with Xiaoli. Xiaoli objected, but she agreed in the end. So, you should agree too. Uxian said. Why do you have to move out? It's better to stay at home. Dwanmuke glared at Uxian and said impatiently, I don't think it's up to you to control what I do. Dwanmuke, what kind of attitude is this? Is this how you treat your mother and Uxian? Dwanmutachio lost his temper and fiercely slammed his chopsticks on the table. Seeing that Dwanmutachio was angry, I pulled Dwanmuke's arm and asked him to stop talking. Dwanmuke moved my hand away and said to Dwanmutachio, Father, I don't want to talk about it. No matter what, I've already made up my mind. I'll contact Uncle Zhang. You, Mother, and Uxian, please don't get involved. I'm done eating. I'm going upstairs. Then, Dwanmuke went upstairs without looking back. Dwanmutachio was so angry that he slammed the table. I hurried to his side and comforted him. Father, don't be angry. I'll go upstairs and talk to him. Don't be angry. What if you hurt your body? That's right. Did you break your hand? Let me see. Xiaofingya pulled Dwanmutachio's hand away from the table. It was red and swollen. Look at you. Your hand is swollen. Let Kair do whatever he wants. He's old enough to know when to stop. Don't be angry. I'll go get the first aid kit. I'll go. I stood up and was about to go to the living room to get the first aid kit. But Uxian stopped me. She stood in front of me and said, I'll go. Then she turned and walked to the living room. Chapter 46. After Uxian brought the first aid kit over, Xiaofingya carefully bandaged Dwanmutachio's injured hand. After Dwanmuke's tantrum, no one could eat anymore. I saw that Dwanmutachio's anger had almost subsided, and Xiaofingya was comforting him. Uxian said she was going out to do something, so she found an excuse to leave the restaurant. I felt that I was unnecessary, and since I was worried about Dwanmuke, who was sulking upstairs, I found an excuse to return to my room. I pushed open the door. Duan Muke was half naked, and he was wearing a pair of casual pants. He was sitting on a stall by the window, staring blankly out the window. I walked over to him and sat down, leaning my head on his shoulder. He didn't speak and neither did I. The two of us leaned against each other by the window. I didn't know what he was thinking, and he didn't know what I was thinking. After a while, Duan Muke raised his arm and pulled me into his embrace. I hugged him back, and he gently patted me. "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "It's so good to have you." "Silly, what nonsense are you talking about?" Duan Muke cupped my face and kissed me on the lips. Feeling the warmth of his kiss, I tightly hugged his neck and whispered, "No matter what, no matter where I go, as long as I have you by my side, it's enough." I understand. Just now, I really didn't control my emotions well. I shouldn't have vented my dissatisfaction towards others on the people who care about me the most. After I came up, I also reflected on my actions. I didn't consider Mom and Dad's feelings. "Don't worry, I'll apologize to them later." Duan Muke lovingly stroked my hair. "That's my good husband." I kissed him on the cheek. "Silly wife, I'll go now." Duan Muke let go of me and stood up. He opened his bag and took out a t-shirt to put on. I sat there quietly, looking at his perfect body in front of me. As he changed, Duan Muke said, "It's a bit late today. I'll call Uncle Zhang tomorrow morning. It'll be best if we can move out in 2 days. If we stay here for one more day, I'll think that you Xian wants to harm you." "Okay, I'll listen to you." Duan Muke made a handsome pose for me, then went to find Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fingya to apologize. Duan Muke went downstairs for more than 2 hours before he came back. When he came back and saw his happy expression, I knew that our family had reconciled. I wasn't as nervous as before. The next day, Duan Muke contacted Uncle Zhang early in the morning and asked him to speed up the process. It would be best if we could move out as soon as possible. Uncle Zhang also agreed to increase work efficiency. When the arrangements were almost done, he would contact Duan Mu Quebec. The next few days seemed to have returned to normal. I spent more time reading in the study or admiring the flowers in the garden. As the baby grew bigger day by day, my pregnancy symptoms weren't as obvious. My appetite had greatly improved. Every time Xiao Fingya saw that my appetite was getting better, she felt very happy. 2 days later, we finally received a call from Duan Mu Quebec. He told us that we could move in. Everything was ready. Duan Muke and I only brought a few sets of clothes. The villa was well prepared, so we didn't need to bring much. Duan Muke asked a few of his subordinates to move all the luggage out of the villa. He stood at the door and watched to see if they had forgotten anything. I watched from the bedroom and did a simple check. Almost all of the luggage had been moved out. At this moment, Yu Xian came upstairs. We bumped into each other at the door of my bedroom. She stopped at the door as if she had something to say to me. I gave a few instructions to the people moving the luggage. Then, I pulled Yu Xian into the house and closed the door. I turned to look at Yu Xian. "What's the matter?" Yu Xian glanced at me and said, "I thought you guys were just saying it casually that day. I didn't expect you to really do it. You made the right choice. You even knew to move in order to avoid me." I was stunned. I thought for a moment and said, "You guessed wrong. We didn't move to avoid you. We just wanted to live alone." "Do you think I'll believe that?" Yu Xian sneered. Then, she sat on Duan Muke's bed. She gently stroked the bedspread and looked at me. "Although I hate you, sometimes I envy you. You can be in Duan Mugija's arms. You can be by his side. You can also be in his heart. Did you know? If it weren't for your engagement, I was very confident that I could use my own means to climb into his bed and become his woman. Now it's all ruined because of you. Love is something between two people. If one person is willing and the other doesn't, do you think it will last? You clearly know that Xiao Ke doesn't love you, but you still want to use your selfish love to bind him. Do you think he will be happy?" I asked her back. "Do you really think that I won't do anything to you after you move?" Yu Xian stood up and walked towards me. She stared into my eyes. "Yu Xian, you can hurt me, but you don't have the right to hurt the child in my belly. This child belongs to Duanmu's family. It belongs to Duanmu Quebec. Let alone you. Even I don't have the right to hurt it. You better take care of yourself. Regardless of whether Yuxian was telling the truth or not, I really didn't want my child to be hurt. That's only your and Duanmukei's child. Do you think you're the only one who can have a child? Don't be naive. Do you think Uncle Duanmu and Auntie Xiao are so good to you just because of the engagement? If you weren't carrying Duanmu's child in your belly, would they still be so good to you? Don't be naive. Yuxian looked at me mockingly. Whatever you say. I can only tell you that if you still want to do anything, don't blame me for being impolite. I was lenient with you before, because I thought you were pitiful. I didn't expect you to use my soft-heartedness as a tool to frame me. After we move out, we probably won't be able to see each other for a long time. That's good. I don't have to see your face as if you've done something wrong. I turned around and opened the door, preparing to leave. Yuxian said to me from behind, "You will regret it. Everything that happened before was just the beginning. The real show has just begun." Hearing Yuxian's words, I could imagine her evil smile. Just thinking about it made me feel very uncomfortable. I ignored her, closed the door, and walked downstairs. The people who helped us move were no longer in the living room. Duanmukei, Duanmutachio, and Xiao Fingyao were standing in the living room, chatting about something. Duanmukei raised his head and saw me. He waved at me. Thinking that I was about to start a new life with him, I felt very happy. Chapter 47. When I saw Duanmukei, I waved at him and carefully walked down the stairs. Ever since I was pregnant, Duanmukei had been worried that the stairs would be too slippery. He was afraid that I would fall, so he had carpeted the stairs. It was much more convenient. Not only was it safe to walk, but there were also no noisy footsteps. I looked at Duanmu Quebec. He was looking at me from the bottom of the stairs with a smile on his face. I held onto the handrail and walked towards him slowly. When I was halfway there, my left foot had just stepped on the carpet at the bottom of the stairs when I felt the carpet move. I was so shocked that I grabbed onto the handrail with all my might and took a step forward with my right foot. If I hadn't taken this step, there might not have been any accidents. My right foot twisted on the stairs, and I lost my balance and rolled down the stairs. "Shaoli!" I heard Duanmukei's hoarse shout. He quickly ran to my side and hugged me. "Shaoli, Shaoli, don't scare me." Duanmukei hugged me tightly. I was stunned. At this moment, Duanmutachio and Xiao Fingyao rushed to my side. I leaned against Duanmukei's chest, and I felt a sharp pain in my right ankle. I forced myself to sit up to check my injury. At this moment, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. I clutched my abdomen and leaned back against Duanmukei's chest. Xiao Fingyao screamed. She covered her mouth and sat on the floor. Duanmukei looked at her and said, "Mom, what's wrong? Don't scare us at this time." Xiao Fingyao pointed at my abdomen with one hand and covered her mouth with the other. Trembling, she said, "Kayer, quick! Take her to the hospital. Quick!" I grabbed Duanmukei's arm and asked, "Xiao Ki, what's wrong?" Duanmukei looked in the direction Xiao Fingyao was pointing and froze. Then he became very serious. He carried me out the door and said, "It's too late. I'm taking you to the hospital." The moment Duanmukei picked me up, my gaze landed on Yuxian's sneering face at the staircase on the second floor. Duanmukei didn't tell me what had happened. He just carried me and ran. He put me in the back seat of his car and drove me to the hospital. Usually, it would take 15 minutes to get to the hospital, but today, Duanmukei took less than 5 minutes to get to the hospital. I didn't know how many traffic lights he ran on the way there, and I didn't know how much he was speeding. After he arrived at the hospital, he threw the car to the side of the road and rushed to the emergency room with me in his arms. Along the way, my consciousness became more and more blurry. I only remembered that Duanmukei carried me onto a stretcher. Then a group of people surrounded us. There were nurses and doctors, but Duanmukei wasn't there. After that, I completely lost consciousness. Since I was pregnant, I didn't know how many times I had fainted. I felt like I had a dream. I dreamed that Yuxian was standing not too far away with a dagger in her hand. She was pointing it at a heart with the word K written on it. She was using the dagger to cut the heart. The ground was covered in blood, but she didn't stop. She was carefully cutting the heart again and again. I suddenly woke up from the dream. When I woke up, I saw Duanmuke, Duanmutachio, Xiaofingya, and my parents next to me. Everyone was looking at me with a sad expression. Xiaofingya saw me open my eyes and turned around. I saw her shoulders shaking. I guessed that she was crying. Even Duanmutachio and my father, who were usually cold and indifferent, had a worried look on their faces. Duanmuke held my hand and lowered his head. He didn't say anything. I seemed to have guessed the terrible result, but there was still a glimmer of hope in my heart. I hoped that my guess was wrong. I pulled Duanmuke's hand. He raised his head and looked at me. I could see that his eyes were red and swollen. It seemed that he had cried too. I asked him softly, "Hubby, I'm okay, right? Although I fell, it wasn't very high. Is the baby okay?" Duanmuke looked at me. His eyes were red. He stroked my hair and said, "The doctor said that you're okay. You just sprained both your feet to different degrees." But he didn't continue and turned his head away. My head buzzed. I grabbed Duanmuke's sleeve and shouted, "But what?" My mother saw that I couldn't control my emotions. She hurried to my side and pulled my hand away from Duanmuke's sleeve. Then, she signaled to Xiaofingya to pull Duanmuke to the side. Seeing that no one answered me, I became even more anxious. I shouted, "But what?" My mother hugged me tightly and stroked my hair. She said softly, "Li-er, be good. Don't get too excited. The doctor said that your body is very weak right now. You need to rest." I couldn't stop my tears from flowing down. I hugged my mother tightly. "Mom, what happened? Why didn't you tell me? Did something happen to the baby?" I clutched my mother's clothes, crying very sadly. My mother gently patted my back and said, "Li-er, you're still young. Believe me, there will be more babies in the future." I could feel that my mother's voice was choked with sobs when she said that. My mind blanked out. The baby is gone. I cried even harder. I felt that the whole world had become very dark. Duanmuke walked to our side. He wiped my mother's tears and helped her to the sofa. Then he sat next to me. I looked up and saw his crying face. I threw myself into his arms, my tears soaking his clothes. "Wifey, I'm sorry." Duanmuke hugged me. He couldn't control his tears either. "It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of you. I know you're sad. You can hit me if you don't feel so sad." I leaned on Duanmuke's shoulder and tore at his clothes. I bit the flesh on his shoulder, causing him to grimace in pain. He didn't push me away. I didn't know what I was thinking anymore. There was only one sentence in my head, and that was that the baby was no longer here. I didn't know how long I cried. Duanmuke kept hugging me. Maybe it was because my body was too weak after the miscarriage. Gradually, I didn't even have the strength to cry. Duanmuke laid me down on the bed and covered me with the blanket. He held my hand and looked at me. I reached out and touched the spot where his tears had streaked. I thought about how I had found out that I was pregnant and how the baby was gone. I felt very upset. As I thought about it, my tears fell again. Duanmuke saw that I was crying and couldn't control his emotions. Chapter 48. After staying in the hospital for a day, no one left the room. I lay on the bed, my heart as dead as ashes. All I could think about was how sorry I was for my child. Looking at Duanmuke's sad face, I knew he was even sadder than I was. He loved this child very much and was looking forward to seeing him again. The atmosphere was so quiet that it felt like the air had frozen. At this time, my mother came to my side. Holding my hand, she said, "Li-er, do you feel better now?" I looked at my mother and said, "Mom, I feel much better. There's nothing that can make me feel more sad now." My mother said, "I've just discussed it with your father. After the doctor agrees to let you leave the hospital, you can come back to our home. Go back to your own home and rest well." At this time, Duanmuke came to my side and said to my mother, "Mom, can you not take Xiaoli with you? Don't worry, you can leave her with me. My parents and I will take good care of her. Don't worry, we won't let any harm come to her again." My mother looked at Duanmuke and said, "Do you think I will still believe your words? Before marrying into your family, I've been educating my daughter. I told her not to be unruly in your family and not to do things that hurt others. But my daughter is too kind. She didn't hurt any of you. Why would such a kind person encounter such a thing? Doesn't your family have any responsibility? Mom, I know. I understand what you mean. But please believe me one more time. I won't let any harm come to her again. I promise you, please believe me and give me another chance. Duan Muke looked at my mother apologetically. At this time, Xiao Fingya came to our side. She held my mother's hand and said, "Sister, don't worry. I will take good care of Xiaoli. I also promise that I will do my best to protect her. I won't let any harm come to her again." Now is not the time to talk about harming or not. No one can guarantee that such a thing won't happen in the future. But now that it has happened, we must take her back to protect our daughter's safety. It will be easier for us to take care of her. I looked at my mother and held her hand as I said, "Mom, just let me stay in the Duanmu family. This matter has nothing to do with the Duanmu family. It's mainly because I didn't take care of myself. I accidentally fell down the stairs and caused a miscarriage. This matter has nothing to do with any of them. You should talk to Dad." At this time, my father also came over. He looked at Duanmu Tachio and then looked at me. Then he said to my mother, "Why don't we listen to our daughter? Since she doesn't want to come back, then let her do what she wants." My mother looked at my father and said seriously, "No one can say anything about this matter. Since I have decided to take her home, I will take her home. Don't try to persuade me anymore. This matter has nothing to do with any of you. I just want my daughter to stay by my side and be taken care of by me. I'm really scared now. I'm scared that she will get hurt again or even..." My mother choked. Duan Mutachio looked at me with a helpless expression. But my heart was as helpless as his. I didn't know how to explain this matter to my mother. Just as everyone was in a deadlock, Duan Mutachio came over. He looked at my father and said, "Brother, let's just let sister-in-law do as she pleases. Perhaps too many things have happened to Xiaoli recently, and sister-in-law can't accept it right now. We should let her stay with her daughter for a while. When sister-in-law is willing, I will have Duan Muke bring Xiaoli back. What do you think?" My father looked at my mother, and then nodded to Duan Mutachio. Then, the two of them walked out of the room. My mother took my hand and said, "Xiaoli, you should rest well. When you are discharged, come back to our home. Of course, Xiaoke can come and accompany you at any time. You two should have a good talk. Your mother and I will go out." Then, she turned and walked out of the room with Xiao Fingya. Only Duanmu and I were left in the room. Duan Mutachio sat next to me and looked at me. I could feel the pain in his heart. I gently stroked his head and said, "Don't be sad. When I am well, I will come back quickly. My mother is also very worried about me. Don't be sad." Duan Muke held my hand and said, "I lost my child. I don't want to lose you even more. If the child is gone, we can have another one. But if you are not here, I will lose the direction of my life. If I lose you, I will have no meaning." I moved to the side of the bed to make some space. Then, I looked at Duan Muke and patted the space I made, indicating for him to come up. He looked at me but didn't move. I smiled and said to him, "You must be tired. Come up and lie with me for a while. I really need you by my side right now, okay?" Duan Muke nodded. He lay down next to me and hugged me tightly. I heard that familiar heartbeat again. I leaned against Duan Mutachio's chest and thought about all the things that had happened recently. I knew that it was Yu Xian who did it, but I didn't have any ability to fight back. I thought that Duan Muke was like me. He also knew what Yu Xian had done. However, it was as if the two of us were under a spell. We didn't have any ability to fight back. Lying in Duan Muke's arms, I heard him sob. I lifted my head and looked at him. Tears streaked across his face. My heart broke. I gently stroked his face and said, "Hubby, don't cry. I'm also sad that you're like this. But no matter what, we have to face life and the future positively, okay? Don't be sad anymore." Duan Muke hugged me tightly and cried. I patted his back. It was the first time I felt that a man who could support the sky and earth would show his weakest side to you. What kind of trust was that? Duan Muke held my face and said, "I'm sorry. I really didn't expect things to turn out like this. I had a good plan. The two of us would move to the villa and live on our own. I would take care of you. and you would stay with me. When the baby was born, the three of us would move back home and live with our parents. But everything I imagined was good. Why did reality turn out like this? It's like a bolt from the blue. I can't bear it alone. I didn't say anything. I held Dwanmukhae's face and kissed him deeply on the lips. Chapter 49. After staying in the hospital for more than a week, it was finally time to leave. During the past few days in the hospital, Dwanmukhae stayed by my side every day. He took care of me during the day and stayed with me at night. On the day I left the hospital, my mother brought some people over early. They packed my things and prepared to take me home. Seeing Dwanmukhae's hesitant eyes, I felt very conflicted. However, when I thought of my parents' worries, I had no choice but to say goodbye to him reluctantly and get on the car to go home. On the way home, I felt very depressed. I didn't know how long the car had been driving, but we finally arrived at the door. The housekeeper and the nannies were waiting at the door to welcome us. My mother and I walked into the room. My father walked toward us. He looked at me and smiled. "It's good that you're back." After greeting my father, my mother took my hand and walked up the stairs. She brought me back to the room I used to live in. Pushing the door open, I saw that it was still the same as before I got married. My mother told me that after I left, she arranged for the nannies to clean the room every day. She also said that this would always be my home. As long as I wanted to come back, I could come back at any time. Stroking my bed, my mood was still very complicated. I didn't know what Dwanmukhae was doing at this moment. Did he miss me as much as I missed him? Right at this moment, my phone rang. I turned it on and saw Dwanmukhae's message. "Are you home? I miss you so much." My heart was broken. Dwanmukhae and I chatted for a while. He kept asking me to take good care of myself and take care of my body. He also told me to eat on time. Hearing Dwanmukhae's words of concern, I could feel that he was completely different from when I first met him. I loved him more and more, and my feelings for him became stronger and stronger. Now, I really didn't want to lose him. That was why I cherished Dwanmukhae's love for me. I thought he felt the same way. Although it was a marriage contract, it changed our initial thoughts. From strangers to lovers, I have never regretted it. Because I had just been discharged from the hospital, my body was still very weak. In order to make it convenient for me, my mother would send the food directly to my room every time. She would watch me eat before leaving. She also wouldn't disturb me for too long in my room. Most of the time, she would let me rest peacefully. Other than when I was sleeping, as long as Dwanmu wasn't busy, he would chat with me. He would tell me funny things that happened to him. Time flew by as she chatted with him. Just like that, the first day passed. The next day, Dwanmukhae came to our house early. He first chatted with my parents for a while, then ran to my room to accompany me. Dwanmukhae pushed the door open and placed a bag of delicious food next to me. I flipped through the bag and saw that it was all my favorite food. It seemed that he knew me better. Dwanmukhae climbed onto the bed and lay down next to me. He hugged me and asked, "How was your rest yesterday?" I nodded. "Not bad. Although I haven't slept here for a long time, it was still very comfortable. How about you? How was last night?" Dwanmukhae shook his head meaningfully. "I didn't sleep very well last night." I looked at him suspiciously. "How could you not sleep well? What was the reason?" Dwanmukhae looked at me. "Guess." I rolled my eyes at him and said, "How would I know what the reason is?" Dwanmukhae hugged me. "Because you weren't by my side. Naturally, I couldn't sleep well. I always felt like something was missing." I leaned tightly against Dwanmukhae's chest. Listening to his words, I blushed. Suddenly, Dwanmukhae sat up as if he remembered something. He looked at me and said, "Oh right. When I got home yesterday, I checked the carpet on the floor." "Oh, did you find anything?" "When I got home, I found that the carpet on the floor had been repaired. I asked Mom and Dad, but they said they didn't know anything about it." "Then who could have done it? Do you still need to ask?" "It must have been Yuxian." "How can you be so sure it was her? What if the carpet was damaged?" "Impossible. The timing was too coincidental. That day you fell down the stairs because the carpet slipped. But I checked it yesterday. The carpet had just been repaired. There was only a hole in it. That proves that there was a nail there before. But it disappeared, causing you to fall down the stairs. If the carpet was deformed after he stepped on it, then the nail that fixed the carpet should have been left there, and the carpet should have been torn. However, there was no tear at all. The carpet was intact, which proved that the nail on the carpet must have been removed by someone in advance. Thinking about it, other than you, Xian, who else in that house would harm you? But I don't have any evidence, so I can't accuse her. It's not the first or second time. She's so scheming. She already calculated that we can't do anything to her without evidence. That's why she acted so unscrupulously. It's a pity. If only I had recorded our conversation when she told me the truth. Now if I find a chance to talk to her, and secretly record it, do you think she'll tell the truth? I asked. That's impossible. Last time, when you had a falling out with her, she told you the truth, but you didn't have any evidence. She won't say anything to you that you can use against her. Don't you know how scheming she is? Duanmuke sighed and shook his head. I didn't expect you, Xian, to be this kind of person. I always thought that she was only bad at doing things, but I didn't expect her to be such a shrewd woman. This time perhaps she really did do it. She probably already knew about my miscarriage, and was probably laughing up her sleeve. I stroked Duanmuke's hair. Looking at him, I said, "Okay, don't think about it anymore. Let's put this matter behind us. Right now, the most important thing is to take care of my body, so that I can give birth to a child for you." Duanmuke smiled and looked at me. How can one be enough? We need at least 3 or 4. I patted his head. I'm not a pig. How can I give birth to so many? Duanmuke smiled and said, "Don't worry. The days are long. What are you afraid of?" I leaned into Duanmuke's embrace, feeling very happy. After a while, Duanmuke patted my shoulder and said, "Wife, I have a lot of things to deal with in the company, so I won't have much time to accompany you. Don't think too much about it. As long as I'm not busy, I'll definitely accompany you. If I don't have anything to do, I'll definitely come to see you. But if I'm pressed for time and can't come to see you or chat with you, can you not blame me?" Chapter 50. I looked at him and said, "Idiot, I'm not that narrow-minded. I know you have a lot of things to do, so you shouldn't spend too much energy on me. I'll definitely stay here and quietly take care of myself. You can be at ease and work hard to earn money. Try to earn enough money to feed your 3 or 4 children's milk powder." I made a face at him. That's a must. I believe that I will definitely have the ability, but the prerequisite is that you have to give me the motivation. Duanmuke looked at me and said, "I will definitely give you motivation. You don't have to worry about that. We still have a long way to go, right?" Duanmuke held me in his arms and gently kissed my forehead. After that, Duanmuke rarely came to my house. Occasionally, he would contact me through WeChat, but it didn't take long before he rushed to work. I knew he was busy, so I didn't want to disturb him. However, I was worried about his health since I wasn't by his side. I didn't know if he was doing well. I really wanted to get better quickly and stay by his side. Even if I couldn't do anything for him, just quietly accompanying him would make me happy. Every 2 or 3 days, he would stay at my house for a night. Every time, I wanted to talk to him and listen to him tell me about the things that happened around him. But after a few words, he would fall asleep next to me. Looking at him sleeping soundly, I didn't have the heart to wake him up. I could only quietly lie next to him. The next morning, before I got up, he had already left for work. He spent less and less time with me, and the number of times he contacted me also decreased. Almost 2 weeks had passed, and Duanmuke hadn't contacted me for 2 days. Although I called him, he said he was busy. He didn't wait for me to finish talking before he hung up. I suddenly felt a little lost. This inexplicable feeling of insecurity made me feel that something was going to happen. However, I still believed in him. I believed that he wouldn't ignore me. I believed that his heart was still thinking about me. I didn't think about those messy things anymore. I just wanted my body to get better as soon as possible. Then, I could return to Duanmuke's house and stay by his side to accompany him. Being separated for a long time would often cause the feelings between 2 people to fade, but the happiness of absence makes the heart grow fonder. 2 weeks later, my mother accompanied me to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup. Finally, my body recovered completely. I was very happy, because I could see Dwanmuke again. I really missed him. I had been away from him for a long time. Would he miss me too? The day before I decided to leave home, my mother helped me pack my luggage. She said a lot of things to me. She could tell that I really loved Dwanmuke. She told me that love was a matter between two people. Two people should learn to give and think for each other. She also told me that no matter what happened, I should face it rationally and not be too emotional. I knew that my mother said those words for my own good, but at the same time, I also believed that Dwanmuke wouldn't do anything that would hurt me. The next day, my mother arranged for the driver to take me back to Dwanmu's house. When I was about to reach the gate, I saw Xiao Fengya waiting for me at the gate. When she saw my car arrive at the gate, she welcomed me. When she saw me, she hugged me tightly. I could feel that she was very excited. Xiao Fengya arranged for the housekeeper to carry my luggage upstairs. She took my hand and led me to the living room. Xiao Fengya held my hand tightly, her eyes glistening with tears. She looked at me and asked, "Xiaoli, how have you been? Have you recovered?" I nodded and said, "Mom, I'm much better. How have you and Dad been?" "We've been fine. When you weren't here, it felt like something was missing in the house. It was lifeless. We couldn't get used to not seeing you and Dwanmuke together." I smiled and said, "How could that be? I'm back now, aren't I?" Xiao Fengya held my hand and said, "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back." I looked around and didn't see anyone else. I turned and asked, "Mom, where did Dad and the others go? How come I don't see them?" Xiao Fengya said, "Li Xiong went to the company. There are some things he needs to take care of. Yu Xian left early. Maybe a friend is looking for her. As for Kair," Xiao Fengya paused. "Where did he go?" I asked. Xiao Fengya sighed and said, "The company has been too busy recently. He hasn't been home for a while. I guess he's at the company right now." I nodded and said, Okay. I don't have anything to do right now. How about I go to the company to find him?" Xiao Fengya said, "Do you want to rest for a while? You can wait for him to come back. I'll call him later." I shook my head and said, "No need, Mom. I'll go to his company and give him a surprise." Xiao Fengya smiled and said, Okay. Be careful on the way. I'll have the driver take you there." Just like that, I arrived at Dwanmuke's company. The girl at the front desk greeted me warmly. "Hello. How can I help you?" It seemed that she didn't know me. That wasn't strange. After all, not everyone in the underworld knew me. I looked at her and smiled. "I'm here to see Dwanmuke. Please wait a moment." She dialed a number and said a few words to the person on the other end. After hanging up, she walked over to me and said, "Hello, please come to the reception room." I followed her to the reception room and she left. After a while, a woman in business attire came in. She sat across from me and smiled. "Hello. Are you looking for General Manager Dwanmu?" I nodded. She continued, "Do you have an appointment with him?" I thought for a moment and said, I don't have an appointment with him." She looked at me and said, "It's like this. The general manager isn't in the company today." I looked at her in confusion and asked, "Isn't today a working day? How could he not be in the company?" It's like this, madam. I'm the general manager's secretary. He really isn't in the company today. But his mother told me that he was in the company." "Oh, so you know, madam?" I nodded. She continued, "It's like this. Let me tell you. Our company has been discussing a cooperation project. The general manager has brought all the relevant staff to the hotel to work on the project." Chapter 51. It turned out that Dwanmuke was really busy. I asked, "How long have they been there?" "About 3 days, but the contract was signed yesterday. The general manager should have come back today. But for some reason, he didn't come to the company today. I don't know about the other details." I thought for a moment and said, "Can you tell me the name of the hotel where they're discussing the project?" The woman nodded and wrote down the name of the hotel for me. I took the slip of paper and took a taxi to the hotel. thinking that I would be able to see Duanmuke soon. I was very excited. The hotel wasn't far from their company, so I arrived shortly after. I entered the hotel lobby and went to the front desk. The receptionist welcomed me warmly. "Hello, how may I help you?" A receptionist stood up and asked me. "It's like this. I heard that the Black Feather Group is discussing a cooperation project here. I would like to ask if they have booked any rooms here. Please wait a moment. I'll check for you." After waiting for a while, the receptionist said, "Hello, I've checked. The Black Feather Group is indeed discussing a cooperation project here. They have booked 4 rooms." "That's great. Can you help me check which room Duanmuke is staying in? Please wait a moment. I've checked. Duanmuke is staying in room 1301. Do I need to call him?" "No, thank you. I'll go up and find him." I turned and walked to the elevator. I took the elevator to the 13th floor. At the end of the corridor, I found room 1301. I stood at the door and decided to call Duanmuke. I dialed his number, but no one answered. Through the door, I could faintly hear Duanmuke's phone ringing. It seemed that he was indeed in the room. After confirming that he wasn't answering, I pressed the doorbell. I pressed the doorbell for a long time, but there was no response. I dialed Duanmuke's number. This time he didn't pick up either. I was a little anxious, so I pressed the doorbell again. I leaned on the door and vaguely heard footsteps in the room. Then a woman's voice sounded. "Who is it?" Hearing this voice, my mind went blank. At the same time, I imagined all kinds of possible situations. I kept asking myself, did Duanmuke cheat on me? Impossible, he clearly loves me so much. But who is this woman's voice? Just as I was feeling conflicted, the door to the room opened. A woman with messy hair and a towel wrapped around her body stood in the doorway. Her sleepy face showed that she had just woken up. She looked me up and down. "Who are you? What's the matter?" I looked at her and tried to remain calm. "I'm here to look for someone," I said softly. "What are you looking for?" said the woman impatiently. "There is no one here. Hurry up and leave. If you don't tell me, I'll call security." She reached out and pushed me, trying to push me away. "I'm here to look for Duanmuke." I tried to control my temper and silently told myself not to get angry. "You're here to look for Duanmuke?" The woman looked at me with a surprised face. I glared at her and pushed her away. I went straight to the room. It was a suite, and the bathroom door was open. I glanced around and didn't see anything strange. However, when I went to the living room, my heart couldn't stay calm anymore. The living room was a mess. There were all kinds of beer bottles on the coffee table. It seemed that several people had drunk here. The air in the room was filled with the thick smell of alcohol. There were some clothes scattered on the floor in the living room. I walked around the living room and went to the bedroom. There were also some clothes on the floor. Most of them were women's clothes. There were even some bras. It seemed that these clothes belonged to that woman. On the bed in the bedroom, I saw Duanmuke. His upper body was naked, and he was still sleeping soundly. The woman followed me. She pressed on my shoulder and asked, "Who are you? Who let you in? Hurry up and get out." I shook off her hand and walked to Duanmuke. There was a bottle of water on the bedside table. I opened it and splashed it on Duanmuke. Duanmuke woke up. He sat up and shouted, "Who is it?" He rubbed his eyes and looked at me standing next to him with the bottle of water. His face was serious. He also saw the woman standing behind me. His expression was one of astonishment. My wife, why are you here?" The woman finally realized that I was Duanmuke's wife. She crouched in the corner and shivered. I glared at the woman and looked at Duanmuke. "What's going on?" Duanmuke shook his head and signaled the woman to leave. I saw that the woman was about to leave, so I shouted, "Stop right there. You're not allowed to leave." When I tried to grab her, Duanmuke pulled me into his arms. The woman picked up her clothes and ran out of the door in a panic. She left just like that. I shook Duanmuke off, tears streaming down my face. "What's going on? Tell me clearly," I said to Duanmuke as I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. "Wife, listen to me. It's definitely not what you think it is." Duanmuke didn't let go of me. "If it's not what it is, then what should it be? It's already so obvious. Can you tell me what it is? Do you think it makes sense? I shook off Duanmukei's hand and stood in front of him. It's really not what you think it is. I just got to know this woman during the negotiation. You just got to know her? You just got to know her. And she dared to appear in your room. And even naked on your bed? I was a little agitated. It's really not what you think. You have to believe me. Yesterday, after our successful cooperation, everyone had a party in my room to celebrate. Everyone drank a little too much. Originally, everyone was here before I drank too much. But I don't know why. But when I woke up, I saw you here. That woman was also here. That woman is actually a director of the company we talked to. I didn't even know her before. I didn't know her before. Don't lie. Do you think I'll believe you? I know you won't believe anything I say now, but please believe me. I definitely didn't do anything wrong to you. Duanmukei held out his hand and said, I swear if I did anything wrong to you, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Wife, don't be angry, okay? You just recovered, so you can't be angry. Chapter 52. Looking at Duanmukei, I couldn't control myself. I lay on his body and cried. Duanmukei held me in his arms and said softly, Wife, I'm sorry. Don't cry anymore. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. If you're angry, you can hit me or scold me. Don't be sad anymore, okay? It's not good for your health. I pulled his arm and cried so hard that I couldn't make a sound. Duanmukei carried me to the bed and gently put me next to him. Then he hugged me tightly. Perhaps it was because the woman had slept with him, but the bedsheets, blanket, and pillows were all filled with another woman's scent. I pushed Duanmukei away and sat up. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes and sat there looking at him. Duanmukei didn't know what to do. He looked at me and asked, Wife, what's the matter? Why are you getting up? Come, let me hug you. Then he reached out to hug me. I shook off Duanmukei's hand and said, Don't touch me. I don't want to sleep in a bed that you slept in with another woman. Hearing my words, the way Duanmukei looked at me changed. It was the same as the way he looked at me when we were drinking. It seemed that he was a little angry. Duanmukei pulled my hand and said, I already said that nothing happened between me and her. You're so sure that something happened between me and her, right? I didn't know why, but when I saw Duanmukei's familiar yet strange face, my heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. It was bleeding. It seemed that my presence here was unnecessary. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes and got off the bed. I picked up my backpack, which had been thrown on the ground during the chaos, and prepared to leave. Where are you going? Duanmukei shouted. I ignored him and walked to the door. Suddenly, Duanmukei rushed behind me and picked me up. He walked to the bed and threw me on it. As I was about to get up, he pressed me under his body, and I couldn't move. I used both my hands to push Duanmukei away. Because I used a lot of strength, his naked upper body was covered in bloody scratches from my scratches. Duanmukei held my hands down and watched me struggle under his body. As he watched, he actually laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? I looked at him with a puzzled face. Duanmukei stroked my hair. His expression wasn't as serious as before. It became very gentle. He said softly, You're like a kitten. What? Do you really think you can run away from me? I glared at him and said, Duanmukei, I don't want to talk to you. Let me go. Since you said I'm a gangster, I have to do something a gangster should do. Isn't that right, beauty? Duanmukei looked at me with a perverted smile. Then he slid his hand under my skirt. My legs kicked wildly, but he was still on top of me. I didn't have any room to resist. Duanmukei held my arm with one hand and held my face with the other. I looked into his eyes again. This scene was familiar. It was just like the time when he had pressed on top of me in the resting room of the wedding venue. The only thing that had changed was that both of us existed in each other's hearts. Duanmukei looked at me. With a tender expression, he caressed my face and said, No matter how good others are, they are not mine. No matter how many people throw themselves at me, they cannot enter my heart. Silly wife, you're the only one I love. Duanmukei kissed my lips. It was a feeling I missed. Only Duanmukei could give me. I stopped resisting and put my arms around Duanmukei's neck. Duanmukei took the opportunity to hold me in his arms. His hand went under my clothes and wandered around my body. Hearing my rapid breathing, Dwanmuke became even more excited. He kissed from my mouth to my neck and unbuttoned my clothes. Then, he took them off one by one until I was naked under him. Dwanmuke raised his head and looked at my naked body. Embarrassed, I pulled the blanket over my face. Dwanmuke moved the blanket away and looked at me. "Little fool, your face is red." I felt even more embarrassed. I covered my face with my hands and said, "I'm not." Dwanmuke moved my hands away and said, "We're an old married couple. Why are you still so shy?" I looked at him and nodded. Dwanmuke pressed on top of me and buried his head in my neck. He said softly, "Wife, let's have another child." I hugged Dwanmuke and nodded. Dwanmuke raised his head and looked at me. Then, he kissed me on the lips. After a round of passion, I lay in Dwanmuke's arms and felt his warmth. Perhaps it was because he hadn't let loose in a long time, but Dwanmuke lay next to me. His forehead was covered in sweat. I lay down next to him and reached out to gently wipe the sweat off his face. It had been a long time since I had seen him so close. He was as handsome as ever, and as always, he was only gentle with me. At this moment, Dwanmuke's phone rang. He opened his eyes and took the phone. He glanced at the screen and then at me, who was standing next to him with a face full of question marks. He pulled me into his arms and answered the call. "Hello, who is this?" Dwanmuke kissed my forehead. "Ha ha ha, young Master K, do you recognize who I am?" A man's voice came from the other end of the phone. "No, you're so forgetful. I'm the person in charge of the cooperation agreement with your company." Dwanmuke thought for a moment and said, "Oh, I remember now. It's Director Lee. Hello." I lay on Dwanmuke's body and listened to the other person's words. Hello, young Master Quebec. I'm sorry to disturb you. Did you rest well last night?" Obviously, there was something to this sentence. I looked at Dwanmuke and Dwanmuke looked at me. "What do you mean by this?" Dwanmuke heard the hidden meaning in the man's words. Young Master K is indeed smart. Young Master K is indeed smart. Actually, I didn't call you for anything else. I just wanted to introduce you to the girl who stayed over in young Master K's room last night. She is our company's new head of marketing. Originally, when the two companies signed the contract, it wasn't her turn to participate, but I heard that your company specifically wanted Michelle to participate. I immediately understood young Master K's intentions, so I took the opportunity last night to arrange for Michelle to stay over at your place. We're all men, I understand you. Who doesn't have needs, right? Hearing the man's words, Dwanmuke and I both froze. Director Lee, you have to have a basis for your words. Be careful or I'll sue you for slander. Dwanmuke's words revealed his dissatisfaction. Chapter 53. Young Master K, that's where you're wrong. I did what your company asked me to do. What's wrong? You don't want to admit it now that you've had your fun? Before Dwanmuke could say anything, I grabbed Dwanmuke's arm and gestured for him to calm down. Then, I picked up a pen and paper from the bedside table and wrote a few words for him to see. Dwanmuke gave me a thumbs up and said to the other end of the phone, Director Lee, I was just joking with you. How about this? I didn't have time to talk to Miss Michelle this morning because of some matters. Can you ask her to come to my room now? I'll definitely accept this favor. Just ask her to come over. Okay. I'll ask her to come over now. Dwanmuke hung up the phone. He looked at me and sighed. As I put on my clothes, I said to him, See? I'll see how you're going to deal with this mess after drinking. Dwanmuke scratched his head and said, I really didn't have sex with her. I don't know what to do now. After I put on my clothes, I sat down next to Dwanmuke and looked at him. Don't you think it's strange? Director Lee said that someone in your company specifically asked for Michelle to join the collaboration. What's more, Michelle appeared in your room the night the contract was signed. That's right. Dwanmuke nodded. What's more, I appeared at the scene at a very inappropriate time. At the time, I called you at the door. I faintly heard your phone ringing, but you didn't answer. I knocked for a long time, but no one opened the door. The second time I called, no one answered. When I knocked again, that woman came to open the door. When she opened the door, She was only wearing a bath towel. My first reaction was that you two had just done it, or she had just taken a bath. Can I say that I didn't hear my phone or the doorbell? Duanmuke looked at me with a helpless expression. You didn't hear anything? Then there's only one explanation. The phone was left in the living room, and the bedroom door was closed. As for why the girl opened the door in a towel, I think I can explain it. Then why? Duanmuke asked. First, she saw me calling you. Then she heard me knocking on the door. She saw me through the peephole and knew that I was your wife. In order to make me misunderstand that something had happened between you two, she took off all her clothes and pretended that you two had just had sex. She used that to confuse me and make me misunderstand you. Duanmuke thought for a moment and asked, but why would she do that? I only got to know her through this collaboration. Why would she set us up like this? You can ask her when she comes. You can ask her in the drawing room, and I'll hide in the bedroom and pretend I'm not there. I put my arms around Duanmuke's neck and kissed him. You did something wrong, so you have to clean it up yourself. Duanmuke lay on the pillow and sighed with a hopeless expression. Oh my God, why did she have to do this? Duanmuke put on his clothes and went to the drawing room to wait for her. I told him what I wanted to ask her and hid in the bedroom. Not long after, the doorbell rang. Duanmuke opened the door and a girl walked in. It was Michelle, who had run away in a panic this morning. Have a seat. Duanmuke pointed at the seat across from him. Michelle sat down embarrassedly. What's your name? Duanmuke asked. Hello, young Master Quebec. I'm Michelle. Her voice was very low, and I had to listen carefully to hear her clearly. Well, I won't beat around the bush with you. Tell me briefly what happened between the two of us last night. After a while, Michelle said, It's like this. Last night, everyone was drinking in young Master K's room to celebrate the signing of the contract. Everyone was drunk except for me, because I was allergic to alcohol. Later, it was very late, around 1 a.m., and Director Lee told everyone to go back to rest. Young Master K, you were already drunk and unconscious. Director Lee told me to take you to the bedroom and take care of you. Then they left. I helped you back to the bedroom, and you. Michelle glanced at Duanmu Quebec. What did I do? Duanmuke asked. You pressed me down on the bed, and then took off my clothes and had sex with me. Michelle lowered her head embarrassedly. Hearing Michelle's answer, I couldn't help but laugh in my heart. It was pretty much what I had imagined. Duanmuke stood up and walked in front of Michelle. He put his hands on the sofa's armrests and looked at Michelle. I've always been a responsible man. If I really did sleep with you last night, then you should go to the hospital's laboratory with me to do a test. If I really did do it, then I'll definitely take responsibility for you. Michelle paused and said, No need, no need. I'm also responsible for this. Young Master K, you don't have to take responsibility. Michelle glanced at Duanmuke and said in a low voice, Young Master K, I have something to do at the company. I have to go back to take care of it. I'll be leaving first. Duanmuke didn't move. Still looking at Michelle, he said word by word, I like children who speak the truth. Because with me, lying is punishable by death. Michelle seemed to be frightened by Duanmu Quebec. She shouted, No. Duanmuke stood up and walked back to the sofa in front of her. He looked at Michelle and said, I'll give you 5 minutes. After you think it through, give me a final answer. Time flew by. No one in the room spoke. I leaned against the wall that connected the bedroom to the living room and waited for Michelle's answer. I hoped that she would tell the truth. It would be best if the person she mentioned was the one I thought of. When the 5 minutes were up, Duanmuke glanced at his watch and said to Michelle, Okay, time's up. You can tell me your answer now. What happened between the two of us last night? Michelle thought for a moment and looked at Duanmu Quebec. Young Master K, I can tell you the truth, but please promise me that you can't let anyone else know about this. After all, my whole family is indebted to my company. If the company finds out, it might endanger my family. If you promise me, I'll tell you the truth. If you don't, then I can only let the misunderstanding continue. Duanmuke thought for a moment and said to Michelle, Okay, I promise I'll keep it a secret. If your company really uses your family to threaten you, you can come find me. The Kurosawa will accept you and your family. Chapter 54. Michelle nodded and began to tell the truth. This is what happened. I just joined our company for less than 2 weeks. A month ago, I attended a recruitment interview, but I didn't pass it. 2 weeks ago, I suddenly received a call from the company's personnel department, saying that they want to hire me as the head of the marketing department. Because I'm not capable enough, I applied for the position of the marketing commissioner. I didn't expect to be promoted to the position of the head of the marketing department. I was very happy. On the first day of work, Director Lee called me over and told me that there was an agreement to be signed with the Black Nightmare Group. I did not know what it meant at that time, so I could only prepare according to the materials he gave me. I also looked through them carefully, but there was nothing strange. About a week ago, a woman came to the company. That woman left a deep impression on me. She was dressed in black, with a black hat, black sunglasses, a black mask, a black dress and black high heels. She gave off a very oppressive feeling. On the day she came, she went straight to Director Lee's office and called me in. That woman took out 50,000 in cash from her bag and placed it in front of me. She told me that she wanted me to do something. When I saw that much money, I was a little tempted, but I did not dare to blindly agree. I asked her what it was about, and she told me that she wanted me to go to your room and get you drunk on the last night before signing the contract with your company and take some indecent photos and videos with you. After that, she would pay me a portion of the money. Because it was harmful, I refused at first, but that woman took out the photos of my parents and brother. She said that if I did not do it, she would not be able to guarantee the safety of my family. She used my family to threaten me. I had no choice but to agree. So from the moment I moved into this hotel, I tried everything to get close to you and get your attention, but you did not respond. Finally, after signing the contract and seeing that I was going to check out the next day, Director Lee arranged a celebration party in your room. I did not expect you to agree. Before the party started, Director Lee gave me another 50,000 to have sex with you. I had no choice but to obey. That day, when everyone was drunk, he found a chance to take everyone away, leaving only you and I. I tried to take off your clothes, but you ignored me and walked back to your room. You fell asleep on the bed. I had no choice but to take a few photos beside you, but I did not dare to sleep with you, so I slept on the sofa for the whole night. Until what happened this morning, you know. Duan Muke thought for a moment and said, "Where are the photos?" Michelle took out her phone and put it on the coffee table. "Here they are. You didn't leak these photos, did you?" "Absolutely not. Don't worry." When I saw your wife call you, I was scared. I ran back to my room until my manager called me and asked me to come here. Duan Muke took the phone and deleted the photos that Michelle had taken of the two of them. Then, he returned the phone to Michelle and said, "I've already deleted the photos. If these photos are leaked, I'll definitely hold you responsible." Michelle sighed and said, "Don't worry. I think you're a good person. I don't want to hurt you. I've decided to quit my job and leave with my family. I'm very sorry for causing you unnecessary trouble." Hearing this, I took out my phone and sent a message to Duanmu Quebec. I told him to try his best to keep Michelle and get her to work for him. After reading my message, Duanmu K said to Michelle, "How about this? You don't have to leave. Even if you leave, they will still track you down if you don't finish what they want you to do. I need someone from my side in your company. I think you are very suitable for this role. Of course, I will also ensure the safety of your family. Your brother will also receive a good education. What do you think about this deal?" "Really? Thank you, young Master Quebec. But how do I explain this to Manager Lee?" Michelle asked. Duanmu K thought for a moment. Then, he took Michelle's phone and threw it to the ground. The phone broke into pieces. Duanmu K picked up the phone and handed it to Michelle. "Go back and tell Manager Lee that you threatened me with those photos and asked me to take responsibility. I got angry and smashed your phone. Then, tell him that I don't want to admit my relationship with you." Duanmu K took out a stack of money from his wallet and handed it to Michelle. This is the compensation for your phone. Go and buy a new one. I have one more question. Do you really not know the woman who went to find Manager Lee and you? Dwamuke asked. I really don't know her. She's definitely not someone from our company. Also, from the way she dresses, I can tell that she's rich. But she's very small, and I can't see her face, so I can't describe her well. Listening to her description, I was a little confused. Alright, I got it. Michelle, you can leave now. Remember to do as I say. If you continue to backstab me, I won't be able to guarantee your family's safety either. I hope you remember this. Dwanmuke's method of threatening people was indeed effective. Michelle readily agreed and left. After Michelle left, I walked out of the bedroom and sat on the sofa deep in thought. Dwanmuke walked to my side and put his arm around my shoulder. Wifey, what's wrong? He asked. You look so serious. I shook my head and ignored him. See, I told you. Nothing must have happened. Dwanmuke looked at me with a face full of confidence. This is confirmed, but there are still a lot of questions. Who is that woman? She was the one who controlled everything from the beginning. Why did she do that? Did Manager Lee know or not? There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. I leaned on his shoulder, my brows furrowed. Dwanmuke said, It's not hard for me to guess that there's a thin and small person who likes black, but I can't guarantee that it's her. Although she's always done some wrong things in the past, at least it wouldn't affect the company's interests. But now, this problem has already implicated the company's profits, so I'm also doubting whether it's her. I looked at Dwanmuke and said, I'm thinking the same thing as you. I think we're both suspecting the same person. If it really is her, then I don't understand. She should be targeting me. Why is she targeting you now? Dwanmuke held my face and said, Silly wifey, you're guessing that it's you Xian, right? Chapter 55. I looked at Dwanmuke and nodded. That's right, I guessed it was her. But there's one thing I don't understand. How could she have guessed that I would come to you at that time? Silly wife, don't you understand? You Xian arranged for Michelle to get close to me. She didn't want you to see what was going on between us. She arranged for Michelle to take some indecent photos of us, and then use them to drive a wedge between you and me. You just showed up at the wrong time and exposed her, silly wife. Dwanmuke gently pinched my nose. I thought about it carefully. Dwanmuke was right. I wrapped my arms around Dwanmuke's neck. So, what should we do next? Let's wait and see. Dwanmuke then carried me in his arms and walked to the bedroom. What are you doing? I was afraid that he would drop me, so I could only hug his neck tightly. Dwanmuke looked at me with a lewd smile. I'm tired. Lie down with me for a while longer. Stop fooling around. Look at the time. Let's pack up and go home. Mom and Dad are waiting for us. Dwanmuke didn't pay attention to me. He put me on the bed and quickly stripped me again. I looked at him helplessly, but it was no use. Dwanmuke looked at me and said, It's rare for the two of you to spend time together. You have to cherish it. Just now you said that you wanted to give me a baby. You have to work harder, right? You have to cherish your precious time. I couldn't help it. I was completely defeated by Dwanmuke's logic. Looking into his gentle eyes, I had no choice but to agree. I lay under him and felt his gentleness. Because I loved him, I could feel that everything he brought to me was beautiful. At this moment, I only had one thought. I wanted to be with him forever. Perhaps it was because we had been tossing and turning for too long. Dwanmuke fell asleep in my arms after he finished venting. I also fell asleep while hugging him. When we woke up, it was already evening. We packed our luggage and headed back to Dwanmu's house. Xiaofengya had already prepared a table full of sumptuous dishes for us. After everyone was seated, Xiaofengya served me a bowl of pig trotter soup. Xiaoli, welcome home, she said. You've just recovered and your body is still weak. I asked the chef to make this for you. Thank you, Mom. I took the bowl Xiaofengya handed to me, tasted it and said, Mom, this is delicious. As long as it tastes good. Xiaofengya looked at me and smiled. Dwanmuke looked at me, and then at the soup I was drinking. He held the bowl in front of Xiaofengya and pretended to act cute. Mom, I want some too, he said. Duan Mutachio reached out and patted Duan Mukei's hand. Do it yourself. You're an adult. Looking at Duan Mukei's aggrieved expression, I couldn't help but laugh. Duan Mukei pursed his lips and said unhappily, It's so unfair. I'm obviously the biological one. This isn't fair. I want to protest. He raised his hand as if he was really going to protest. I pulled back Duan Mukei's outstretched hand. Protest overruled. Hurry up and eat. I reached out and picked up Duan Mukei's bowl and served him a bowl of soup. Duan Mukei looked at Xiao Fengya and Duan Mutachio with an arrogant expression. See, my wife cares about me. Looking at Duan Mukei's silly expression, Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya both laughed. Everyone at the table was talking and laughing. Only Yu Xian sat there and ate. When everyone was almost done eating, Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya looked at each other. They took out a bank card from their pockets and put it in front of me. I looked at the bank card and then at Duan Mutachio. Dad, what's this for? Xiaoli, don't think too much. Ever since you got pregnant, so many things have happened. Your mother and I feel sorry for you. We feel that we didn't take good care of you. This is a small token of our appreciation. Just accept it. If you like something, just buy it. Don't be stingy. After listening to Duan Mutachio's words, I looked at Duan Muquebec. At this moment, Yu Xian suddenly stood up. I'm done eating. I have something to do. I'll take my leave first. Then she went upstairs. Obviously, she wasn't happy. I looked at Duan Mutachio and said, Dad, I can't accept this. We don't lack money. You and Mom should use this money to buy something. I pushed the card back to Duan Mutachio. Duan Mukei put the card in his pocket and said to Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya, Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. I'll accept it on behalf of Xiaoli. We'll take our leave now. Before I could finish, Duan Mukei dragged me back to the room. After entering the room, he put the card in my bag and lay down on the bed. I looked at his lazy appearance and said, Why do you want Dad's money? It's not like we don't have it. Since it's for you, just accept it. Duan Mukei rolled over and lay on the bed. What's going on? I sat down next to him and looked at him. Actually, it's nothing. Didn't you go back home after you were discharged? My parents felt that they had wronged you. My mother cried almost every day and kept saying that it was because of her negligence that you were injured again and again. Later, I told them that you would come back when you recovered. They were very happy. You can just treat it as a gift from them. That's not very good. I was still a bit worried. What's not good about it? Just listen to me. If you don't accept it, they'll really feel bad about it. Duan Mukei rolled over and lay down on my lap. At that moment, Xiao Fengya's voice came from outside the door. Xin, it's so late. Why are you still going out? It sounded like she wanted to go out. Auntie, I'm not going out. There's someone at the door looking for me. I'll go take a look and then come back. I heard Yu Xian's voice. Okay, come back soon. Then there was the sound of footsteps. Hearing the footsteps, Duan Mukei rolled over and jumped off the bed. He ran to the window and hid behind the curtains. He gently lifted the curtains a bit. I followed him to the window. Through the gap in the curtains, I saw Yu Xian jogging toward the door. Duan Mukei looked at me and said, Wife, do you want to see who she's meeting with and what they're talking about? I looked at him and nodded. Duan Mukei moved his face closer. I looked at him blankly. He pointed to his lips and said, Kiss me and I'll take you there. I looked at him with a black face. What time is it? You're still joking. If you don't kiss her, she'll come back. Duan Mukei made a threatening face at me. I had no choice but to move closer and kiss his lips. Chapter 56. Duan Mukei pulled me downstairs and walked around the kitchen. We walked out from the kitchen's side door and went straight to the garden. The two of us walked along the wall, trying to keep our footsteps as light as possible. Behind a tree closest to the main door, the two of us squatted down. Duan Mukei was afraid that I would catch a cold, so he put a black coat on us. Then he whispered to me, Be careful not to expose your position. I gestured for him not to speak and listened carefully for any movements outside the wall. It seemed that Yu Xian hadn't gone far. She was on the other side of the wall. I heard Yu Xian say, What is it that you have to talk to me face to face? What can't you say over the phone? I don't want to either. It's about Douamu, Quebec, a man's voice. Douamu K whispered into my ear. This is Director Lee who called me. I nodded. Douamu Gitch? What is it about Douamu Gitch? Uxian asked. I miss you, don't play dumb. Didn't you want me to send someone to get Douamu K drunk, then take indecent photos and send them to you? The man's voice was filled with helplessness. And then, Uxian asked in a lukewarm tone. That girl didn't succeed. But she told me that Douamu K had sex with her. When she went back to find Douamu K, he wouldn't admit it. What do you think should be done? Hearing this, it seemed that Douamu K's instructions had been conveyed. What? You actually let her go onto Douamu Gitch's bed? What right does she have? It was clear that Uxian was angry. Eldest miss, don't talk about this anymore. Back then, you were the one who told me that as long as I did as you said, I would be able to increase our company's profits by 25%. That was why I agreed to it. Now that something like this has happened, if Douamu K is serious about it, you will also be responsible. That wasn't my intention at all. I just wanted a few photos, but you decided on your own, and let that woman seduce Douamu Gitch. Forget it, it's already come to this point. There's no point in saying this. Then what should we do next? You do this. For a week you keep that woman under control. Next week, when everyone is at home, you let that woman come here and cause trouble. The main reason is to make Douamu K take responsibility for her. When Douamu Tachio and the others show up, you guys come out and use the woman's name as the company's leader to get Douamu Tachio to give you more profits. I'll take care of the rest. As soon as I heard Uxian say this, Douamu K pulled my arm, hinting me to go back. I shook my head, telling him to stay and listen. He also shook his head, indicating that he had to go. There was no other way. I followed his decision and went back to my room. Just as I entered my room, I didn't even have time to rest before Douamu K walked to my side and began to take off my clothes. I shouted at him. What are you doing? It's too late. Take off your clothes and change into your pajamas. After he said that, he took off his coat and changed into his pajamas. It was obvious that I was an obedient wife. I also changed into my pajamas obediently. Douamu K stuffed our changed clothes into the wardrobe. Douamu K turned on the TV in the bedroom. He laid on the bed and fiddled with the remote control. Since I had been outside in the garden for a while, my hands were a little dirty. I went to the bathroom to wash them. As soon as I finished, there was a knock on the door. Coming. Douamu K got off the bed and ran to the door to open it. I walked to his side and saw Uxian standing at the door with a plate of fruit. Douamu Gitch, I just washed the fruit. I brought it to you. Uxian said to Douamu Quebec. She didn't look at Douamu Quebec. Instead, she scanned the two of us from top to bottom. Then she stretched her neck to look inside the room. Thank you. Uxian, what are you looking at? Douamu K took the fruit and asked. Nothing. I'm going back. Bye. Then, Uxian turned around and walked back to her room. It wasn't until Uxian closed the door that Douamu K pulled me inside. He locked the door and put the plate of fruit on the table. Then he sat on the bed and gasped for breath. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? I worriedly looked at him and touched his face. Wifey, I'm fine. I just didn't expect her anti-detection ability to be so strong. Douamu K laid on the pillow and looked at the ceiling. What's going on? I looked at him with a puzzled expression. I can guarantee you that before Uxian came back, she walked around the garden. She smelled like roses. She went to the garden to see if we were there. If she wanted to leave after eavesdropping on them, she would have run into them, and it would have been too late. I understand. So when you came back, you asked me to change clothes and pretend to watch TV. It was to mislead her and make her think that we were in the bedroom the whole time. Is that what you meant? That's right, that's what I meant. I guessed that she would come to look for us, but I didn't expect that she would actually take a stroll around the garden. Looks like I underestimated her too much in the past. Look at the things she said. I really couldn't imagine that she was actually such a ruthless person. Douamu K held his forehead as he lay there, looking especially distressed. What are we going to do next? Expose her? I asked as I lay down next to him. No, we can't expose her. I want to continue acting with her. Of course. I want to be the main character, and not let her control me. Duanmuke hugged me and said, Wifey, I want to apologize to you. Huh? Apologize for what? I asked in confusion as I lay in his embrace. Actually, I used to suspect that you were hostile towards Uxian, and even wanted to protect her. But as time passed, I slowly realized that she was getting worse and worse. Not only did she harm her friends, but she also harmed you. Now, in order to achieve her goals, she won't even let her family off. Well, maybe she doesn't even see us as family. There were so many people in Kurosawa, but he didn't order them. My father carried her to the hospital and left my mother to take care of me. She was given everything. She ate well, wore good clothes, used good things. She received the best education since she was young. She and I both went to an aristocratic school. With her qualifications, she wouldn't have been able to get in. But now, if my parents knew that she had become like this, their hearts would ache. Duanmuke said angrily. Okay. Don't be angry. It's all in the past. I patted Duanmuke's back and softly comforted him. Chapter 57. Ever since that night, I rarely saw Uxian. Every day, she would leave early and return late, so I didn't pay too much attention to her. Now in my heart, I only cared about the Duanmu family and Duanmu, Quebec. This week was like the calm before the storm. Thinking about what Uxian had said, I guessed that her plan would come to fruition soon. These days, Duanmuke was also very busy. Aside from the company's matters, he was also secretly arranging how to deal with Uxian. During this time, Duanmuke looked for Michelle once and told her something. As for what he told her, he didn't tell me. However, I believed that Duanmuke had his own plans, and I respected his arrangements. On the morning of the weekend, I woke up early and ran to the garden to trim the flowers in the rose pond. As usual, Uxian left early and returned late, so I didn't see her at all. Duanmu Tachio brought Duanmuke back to Kurosawa for a meeting early in the morning. The Kurosawa was going to hold its 10th anniversary celebration next month, and the entire Kurosawa was busy with it. Xiao Fingyao went shopping with the other wives she was close with, so I was the only one left in the huge Duanmu house. I stood by the rose pond, looking at the flower pond that Duanmuke had meticulously built for me. My mood was very good. Just as I was concentrating on trimming the flowers, the door was pushed open, and a young, tall, and fashionably dressed girl walked in. She was pulling a suitcase in her hand. When she walked to the middle of the courtyard, she stopped and shouted, "Someone! I'm so tired." I glanced at her and didn't answer. At this time, the girl saw me standing in the middle of the garden and walked towards me. She stopped in front of me and scanned me from head to toe. Then she put the suitcase in front of me and said, "Who are you? I don't care anymore. Help me bring my luggage in. By the way, is Gij Duanmu here?" I looked at her and didn't say anything. The girl looked at me again and said, "Why don't you say anything? Forget it. I'll go look for it myself." "They're not here." I kept my head down, pruning the flowers, not looking at her. Why aren't they here? Where are they? I want to find Duanmu Gij." With that, the girl pulled her suitcase towards the door. Listening to her call me Brother Duanmu, I was in a bad mood. I asked her, "Who are you?" I said, "They're not here." "You think I'm not here just because you say so? And who are you?" The girl put down her luggage and stood in front of me. I ignored her and turned back to the room. Suddenly she grabbed me from behind and said, "Don't go. Make yourself clear." Just then, Duanmuke appeared in front of us and said, "What are you doing? Xingyao, how come you're here?" Duanmu Gij." When the girl saw Duanmuke, she ran over and threw herself into Duanmuke's arms. Duanmuke hugged the girl and spun her around twice. I stood next to them with a dark expression on my face. I frowned and didn't know what to do. Looking at the two of them being so lovey-dovey, I couldn't stand it anymore. I walked over to Duanmuke and patted his shoulder. "Xiaoke, shouldn't you introduce us?" I glared at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmuke looked at me. then turned around and hugged me from behind. He gently kissed me on the cheek, then looked at the girl and said, "Little Xinyao, let me introduce you. This is Cold Glaze. From now on, you should call her sister-in-law." Then Duanmuke leaned close to my ear and said, "Wife, this is my little sister Duanmu Xinyao. How come I've never seen her before?" I looked at Duanmuke in disbelief. "Ah, so it's sister-in-law." Duanmu Xinyao suddenly threw herself at me and hugged me tightly. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, I'm little Xinyao." I couldn't get rid of Duanmu Xinyao, who was clinging to me. I looked helplessly at Duanmuke, pleading for his help. Duanmuke looked at me and said, "My little sister has been living abroad since she was young. She's been very independent since she was a child. Because she likes freedom, she's always been unfettered. She doesn't need to take care of the Kurosawa's affairs. She can do whatever she wants. Now she's a fashion designer for a top fashion brand. She's quite famous. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, brother, sister-in-law is so beautiful. I like it." Duanmu Xinyao hugged me tightly, not wanting to let go. All right, hurry up and let go of your sister-in-law. I'm jealous." Duanmuke glanced at her as he spoke. All right. Duanmu Xinyao reluctantly let go of my arm. Then, she grabbed my arm, and looked back at Duanmu Quebec brother, "Help me carry my luggage." Then, she pulled me back to the living room. The three of us sat on the sofa in the living room. Duanmu Xinyao leaned on my shoulder, looking at Duanmuke with a mocking expression. Duanmuke glared at her, then sat down next to me and leaned on my other shoulder. I looked at them helplessly. I suddenly felt like I was taking care of two children. "Oh yeah, Xinyao, why did you come back?" Duanmuke found a topic to talk about, moving Duanmu Xinyao's hand away from me. "Brother, I came back because I miss Mom, Dad, and you. Don't reject me, okay? I'm so obedient." Duanmu Xinyao moved Duanmuke's hand away, and took the opportunity to hug me. I leaned my head against her soft chest, blushing. It was very awkward. Duanmuke suddenly grabbed my arm, and pulled me out of Xinyao's embrace. I lost my balance, and fell into Duanmuke's arms. Listening to his heartbeat, Duanmuke's arms were indeed more comfortable. Duanmu Xinyao looked at Duanmuke hugging me. She angrily put her hands on her waist and shouted, "Brother, you're so naughty." While we were fooling around, Yu Xian pushed open the door and walked into the living room. She looked at us, but didn't say anything. She walked around the sofa and prepared to go upstairs. Duanmu Xinyao saw Yu Xian, and suddenly stood up from the sofa. She looked at Yu Xian and said, "Hey, can't you see us?" Yu Xian stood there, and didn't turn her head to look at us. She also didn't say anything. Duanmu Xinyao saw that she didn't respond and became angry. She walked over to Yu Xian, and stood in front of her. She scanned her from head to toe and said, "We haven't seen each other for a long time, and you're still as indifferent as ever. You're still as low as ever." Duanmu Xinyao glared at Yu Xian. Yu Xian looked at her and said, "Xinyao, you're back. Long time no see." "Xinyao? Who are you to call Xinyao by that name? Is it because I'm not here for so long that you've forgotten who you are?" Xinyao stared at Yu Xian arrogantly, her eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Chapter 58. Yu Xian stood in front of the Duanmu Xinyao, and clenched her fists. She looked at her without saying a word, and Xinyao didn't have any intention of backing down. She stood in front of Yu Xian with her hands on her waist and said to Yu Xian, "Brother, why is this woman still in our house? I don't like her at all. I've never liked her since I was little." Yu Xian glanced at the Duanmuke, and then looked at me. Then she said to the Duanmu Xinyao, "Miss Duanmu, I'm going back first." After she said that, Yu Xian walked upstairs. "Stop right there. You're not allowed to leave." The Duanmu Xinyao roared at Yu Xian. Yu Xian didn't turn around. The Duanmu Xinyao chased after her, and suddenly grabbed Yu Xian's hand. Yu Xian lost her balance and fell down the stairs. She laid on the ground. Xinyao didn't expect her to fall and was shocked. She stood there blankly. The Duanmuke and I quickly walked over. I first looked at Xinyao. She stood there in a panic, and didn't know what to do. I had the Duanmuke look after Xinyao first, and then I walked over to Yu Xian. Because of inertia, She fell down the stairs. Her arms, knees, and ankles all had different degrees of abrasions. I didn't know why, but when I saw her fall, I thought back to the time when I fell down the stairs. My heart ached. I originally wanted to reach out to help Yuxian up, but seeing her fall, I still decided to help her up first. As soon as my outstretched hand touched Yuxian, she suddenly pushed me away. I lost my balance and sat on the ground. The Duanmuke saw me fall and immediately ran to my side to help me up. He said to me, "Wife, are you okay?" Then he looked at Yuxian, who was still lying on the ground, and asked, "What are you doing? Shaoli was kind enough to help you up, but you actually pushed her?" Yuxian looked at the Duanmuke and didn't answer. At this time, the Duanmu Xinyao got angry. She walked in front of Yuxian, grabbed Yuxian's collar and said, "Yuxian, is it because mom and dad are too good to you, so you can treat us even worse? You dare to push my sister-in-law. Are you tired of living?" Yuxian tried to shake off her hand and retorted, "Let go of me. Hurry up and let go of me. I just want to go upstairs." Yuxian grabbed the Duanmu Xinyao's hand. Her nails were too long, and when she struggled, she scratched Xinyao's hand. "Ah!" Xinyao screamed. When she saw that her hand was scratched, she became even more angry. She sat on top of Yuxian and grabbed Yuxian's collar with one hand. "You bad woman!" She used her other hand to slap Yuxian's face. Only to hear a paw sound, Xinyao's slap directly slapped Yuxian to the ground. It seemed that Xinyao's slap was fierce. The corner of Yuxian's mouth was broken. She forced herself to sit up and covered her swollen face with her hand. She didn't say anything, and just sat on the ground with her head lowered. Xinyao saw that Yuxian didn't respond, and reached out to hit her again. I hurriedly asked the Duanmuke to stop her. The Duanmuke rushed in front of Xinyao, and carried her back. Xinyao waved her fist and said, "Let go of me, I'm going to hit her." "She didn't listen to me, bad woman. Let go of me." The Duanmuke brought Xinyao into the study. I glanced at Yuxian, who was sitting on the ground, and reached out to help her up. This time she didn't shake me off. After she stood up, she covered her face and didn't say anything. She just stood there with her head lowered. I rummaged through the medical box and found an alcohol cotton ball. I handed it to Yuxian. She looked at me and didn't reach out to take it. I understood her concern and said, "You don't want me to wipe the alcohol cotton ball for you, do you?" Yuxian glanced at me and took the alcohol cotton ball. Then she turned around and went upstairs. I looked at her back and shook my head helplessly. At this time, I remembered that the angry Xinyao had been brought into the study by the Duanmu Quebec. It seemed that I had to go and comfort this little girl. I pushed open the door to the study. Xinyao was still sitting on the sofa, throwing a tantrum. Duanmuke was sitting next to her, shaking his head helplessly. When I pushed open the door, both of them saw me at the same time and ran over to me. But the Duanmuke was a step faster. He hugged me tightly in his arms and said, "Wifey, you have to save me. I can't take it anymore. I've always been afraid of Xinyao throwing a tantrum. When she throws a tantrum, she takes it out on me. You see, she bit me just now when I was trying to stop her." The Duanmuke stretched out his arm, and sure enough, there was a deep red bite mark on it. Before I could comfort him, Xinyao came in front of us. Seeing that the Duanmuke wasn't letting go of me, she stomped on his foot. The Duanmuke was in so much pain that he hugged his foot and jumped around the room. Seeing that the Duanmuke had let go of me, Xinyao took the opportunity to lie in my arms. With an aggrieved expression, she rubbed against my chest. As she rubbed against my chest, she cried and said, "Sis-in-law Shaoli, I hate her. She bullies Bao Bao. Bao Bao is not happy." I had no choice but to hug her and pat her back. "Be good. It's okay. It's okay. Don't cry, don't cry." Xinyao was still lying in my arms, rubbing against my chest. My face flushed red. As she rubbed against my chest, she said, "Sis-in-law, Sis-in-law's chest is so soft." Hearing this, the Duanmuke walked over to Xinyao. He grabbed Xinyao's arms and forcefully pulled her off of me. He said, Little Xinyao, you pervert. You won't even let your sister-in-law off. She's mine. You're a bad person. Gidge, you're the bad one. Sis-in-law Xiaoli is mine. Mine, mine. Xinyao struggled with all her might. The two siblings were making a ruckus in the study room. Looking at the two of them playing like children, she felt both angry and amused. After watching them fight for a while, they seemed to be tired. They sat down on the sofa and gasped for breath. I sat across from them and looked at Xinyao. Xinyao, don't be angry. Tell your sister-in-law, why do you hate her so much? Xinyao sat up from the sofa and looked at me. Sis-in-law Xiaoli, that woman is really bad. I really don't like her. When she first came to our house, I didn't like her. I thought that I was the only girl in the Duanmu family, but Mom and Dad told me that this girl was very pitiful, and that I should get along well with her. At this time, the Duanmu walked to my side and hugged me from behind. This little sister of mine thinks that Yu Xian stole Mom and Dad and stole me. She's been hostile to her since she was a child. Ever since Yu Xian came to our house, whenever my parents bought something for Xinyao, they would buy an extra set for Yu Xian. My little sister is very unhappy. Then how can I be happy? I don't want to use the same things as her. Duanmu Xinyao pursed her lips and said unhappily. Chapter 59. What's going on? I looked at Xinyao and asked. It's like this. Xian Yao told me about her dispute with Yu Xian. Yu Xian and I are about the same age. When she first came to my house, she was too shabby. So my mother picked out all the clothes I didn't want to wear and gave them to Yu Xian. At first I didn't object. After all, they were all old clothes, and I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until the incident on my birthday that I realized that she was a thief. A thief? Where did that come from? I looked at Xian Yao puzzled. Xian Yao sighed and said, it happened on my 10th birthday. My father specially arranged a birthday party for me. That morning, my mother prepared a small dress for me to wear at the party. I really liked it because it was specially made for me. I didn't want to wear it, so I planned to wear it at the party that night. So I put the dress on my bed and went out to play. But when I got tired and came back, I saw Yu Xian wearing my dress and looking at herself in the mirror in my room. I was very angry, so I rushed in and asked her to take off the dress. She kept struggling, and when we were tearing, the dress was torn. I cried because I really liked that dress. Later, when my parents arrived and saw the situation, they didn't scold her. They just told her to go back to her room. I felt that it was very unfair. She was an outsider, but my parents still helped her. I felt very uncomfortable. From then on, my impression of her became worse and worse. I can testify to that. Because of the dress snatching incident, my sister casually wore a dress that day. She was in a bad mood the whole time, and it left a deep shadow in her heart. Duanmu hugged me and nodded. Anyway, I really hate her. At that time, the three of us were in the same high school. At that time, there were a lot of girls who chased after my brother. Yu Xian treated them like enemies. She offended a lot of people at that time. Actually, I knew that Yu Xian liked my brother. In other people's eyes, I didn't know. But in my eyes, I felt that her love was a bit perverted. After listening to Xian Yao's evaluation of Yu Xian, I felt that it was very reasonable. I turned to Duanmu and said, Xian Yao is very smart. Do you want to tell Xian Yao everything that Yu Xian has done, and what she wants to do? Duanmu nodded. The two of us told Duanmu everything that Yu Xian did to me ever since I married into the Duanmu family, until I had a miscarriage, and everything that happened that night when Duanmu and I eavesdropped on Yu Xian's scheme to Xian Yao. After Xian Yao heard everything, she slammed the coffee table and said, Too much. How can this woman be so bad? It seems like I was too light on her just now. Too hateful. Brother, does Mom and Dad know? Duanmu shook his head and said, I didn't tell Mom and Dad about this. I don't think it's necessary. I alone am enough to deal with her. I should have insisted on opposing Mom and Dad taking her in. I'm so angry. Why didn't I kick her out at that time? Xian Yao was so angry that her face turned red. She sat on the sofa and pouted. Okay, don't think about her. Xian Yao, are you hungry? I'll get you something to eat. I casually changed the topic. Sister-in-law is the best. I'm not hungry at all. I just want to chat with you and brother. I've been away from home for so long. I haven't felt the warmth of home in a long time. Xianyao's face was no longer tense. She smiled and looked at me. Then why did you leave your parents to live on your own? I liked this lively and cheerful girl from the bottom of my heart. I liked her carefreeness and her cuteness. Xinyao sighed and said, originally, I could have stayed at home, but I yearned for a free and unrestrained life. Moreover, there are people I hate here, so I chose to leave. My parents also know my character, so they didn't stop me. Occasionally, I would come back to see them, and they would feel happy. I stood up and walked in front of Xianyao. I held her hand and said, Xianyao, since you're back, don't leave. Stay with us, okay? Xianyao threw herself into my arms and softly said, Okay, sister-in-law. I knew sister-in-law was the best. You're much better than my bad brother. Every time I come back, he doesn't try to keep me. Xinyao grumbled as she rubbed against my chest. I didn't know why, but this little girl liked to rub against my chest. When Duanmuke saw that Xianyao was starting to make a move on me, he curled his lips and hugged Xianyao from behind. He pulled her back and said, Let go. She's mine, you pervert. Let go. Xianyao turned around and stomped on Duanmuke back. Then she made a face at Duanmuke and said, You can't catch me, right? Piss you off. I'm running. After saying that, Xianyao ran out of the study. Duanmuke covered his foot and looked at Xianyao who was running away. He said with a helpless expression, Stop right there. When I catch you, you'll be crippled. After saying that, he also ran out of the study. The two of them played around in the house. Standing at the door of the study, I saw that Xian's bedroom door was half open. She stood at the door and stared blankly at Duanmuke's location. Looking at her worried expression, it seems that her love for Duanmuke has never changed. But when I thought about how she had done so many things to harm others for her own goals, my heart felt very uncomfortable. Xian seemed to notice me looking at her. She looked at me, then returned to her room and closed the door. Duanmuke pulled Xianyao in front of me and said with a flaunting expression, Wife, look, I caught the pervert who took advantage of you. Tell me, how do you want to deal with her? Sister-in-law, don't believe what he said. My Gij is a bad guy. He's a big bad guy. Xianyao struggled with all her strength, her face red. I looked at the two of them and leaned against the door, looking at them with a smile on their faces. Wife, what are you thinking? Hurry up, I can't control her anymore. Duanmuke looked at me helplessly. I thought for a while, then walked to Duanmuke's side. I held his hand that was holding Xianyao and grabbed it. Then I hugged his neck and kissed him deeply. Duanmuke was stunned and stood there, not knowing what to do. Xinyao also blankly stood at the side, stunned by my actions. I let go of Duanmuke's hand and waved at Xianyao, indicating for her to leave. She immediately understood my meaning and made a face at Duanmuke and said, Gij, I told you that sister-in-law is on my side. I'm leaving. You and sister-in-law have a good time. Then she skipped upstairs. Duanmuke wanted to break free from me, but it seemed that I couldn't control him anymore. Helpless, I had to use my trump card. I looked at him with a bashful expression and said, Husband, let's go back to the room. Chapter 60. Ever since Xinyao had returned, the atmosphere at home had become even warmer. Every day, I could see her happy face, and I could also see her and Duanmuke fooling around. That night, I overheard Xian's plan, but she didn't carry it out. Later, Duanmuke told me that because of Xinyao's appearance, Xian had temporarily postponed her plan with Director Li. In the blink of an eye, it was time for Kurosawa's 10th anniversary celebration. During this time, everyone was busy preparing for it. Ever since I had returned to Duanmu's home, Duanmu Tachio had assigned me to take care of some matters in Kurosawa. Before the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Black Nightmare Society, we left early and returned late. Most of our time was spent in meetings, discussing every day how to make the celebration a success. Our life of leaving early and returning late had exhausted us both mentally and physically. The 10th anniversary celebration of Kurosawa was held in the Black Nightmare Guild Hall. That day, All the Kurosawa people were present. My parents also attended the celebration as guests. On that day, Uxin Xinyao, Duanmuke, and I arrived early to receive the guests. Since the celebration started at 5 in the afternoon, there weren't many people present. Xinyao and I strolled around the venue. In the crowd, I saw Han Hao's figure. I hadn't seen him for a long time, but he still looked the same as before. He hadn't changed at all. Xinyao also saw Han Hao. She ran to Han Hao's side and greeted him. The two of them chatted and laughed. I stood in place and watched them. I didn't know what Xinyao said to him, but Han Hao looked in the direction of Xinyao's finger and saw me. I had no choice but to walk in front of them. Han Hao, long time no see. I waved at Han Hao. So you know each other. That's great. Then I don't need to introduce you. Xinyao wrapped her arm around Han Hao's and leaned on his shoulder. Han Hao looked at me and smiled. Shaoli, long time no see. We looked at each other without saying a word. His gaze was still as gentle as ever. Han Hao, Gij, do you need help with anything? Sister-in-law. And I don't have anything to do, so we can go with you. Xinyao looked at Han Hao and said sweetly. Han Hao glanced at his watch, then turned to Xinyao. Little Xinyao, I have a meeting right now, so I can't accompany you. I'll find you after the meeting, okay? It had been a long time since I'd heard Han Hao's gentle voice. I didn't know why, but my heart suddenly trembled. Okay, then we'll wait for you to come back. Xinyao reluctantly let go of Han Hao's arm. Han Hao walked to the door. As he walked past me, he glanced at me. My eyes met his, and an indescribable feeling welled up in my heart. Looking at Han Hao's back as he left, I could feel that he was very lonely. At this moment, Xinyao wrapped her arm around mine and whispered into my ear. Sister-in-law, what do you think of Han Hao? Hearing Xinyao's question, my face heated up. I didn't know how to answer, so I could only ask. Why would you ask that? Xinyao looked at me and said shyly. Sister-in-law, I'll tell you a secret. You can't tell anyone else. Okay, I promise you. I smiled and looked at her. I like him. I looked at Xinyao. Her face was brimming with happiness. When I was young, I already liked him very much. He's different from my brother. Sometimes my brother's temper isn't good, although he never throws a tantrum at me. But every time I see him scold his subordinates, I feel especially scared. But Han Hao is different. He's always very gentle to everyone. Even if his subordinates do something wrong, he won't get angry. I like to look at him. Even if I just silently accompany him, I still feel very happy. So Xinyao liked Han Hao. Xinyao was right. Han Hao was a very gentle boy, and he was very compatible with a lively and cute girl like Xinyao. But I didn't know why. But when I heard Xinyao say that, I felt very uncomfortable. Sister-in-law, what are you thinking about? Xinyao shook my arm and asked. I'm not thinking about anything. If you like him, just confess to him. If you don't say it, how will he know that you like him? Am I right? I stroked Xinyao's hair and said to her. Xinyao covered her face in embarrassment and said, Actually, I've hinted to him before, but he's never answered me. I don't know what to do. Every time I leave home, I run away. I'm afraid that he won't answer me. And I'm also afraid that he'll reject me. Sister-in-law, what should I do? I looked at Xinyao and comforted her. Be good, don't think too much. If you really like him, then you have to face the problem. Even if you're rejected, you've tried. You won't feel that it's a pity. Don't worry, your brother and I will support you. Okay, I know. When the celebration is over, I'll confess to him. Then I'll know that sister-in-law is the best. Xinyao threw herself into my arms. Looking at her innocent face, the uncomfortable feeling in my heart slowly dissipated. Xinyao and I felt that the hall was too boring, so we went to the door. Xinyao told me that there was a good Western restaurant near the hall. We slacked off and went out to eat. As expected, the restaurant's environment was good. We ordered some food and sat there to chat. Xinyao kept telling me about her and Han Hao's childhood. While we were happily chatting, we saw two people come in through the door. It was Uxian and another man. However, they didn't see us and went in the opposite direction. I signaled Xinyao to be quiet. She also saw Uxian and the man. She curled her lips and said, She's really a slut. Even her taste in men is so bad. I furrowed my brows when I saw where they were sitting. The distance between us and them was a bit big. Although the Western restaurant was quiet, I couldn't hear what they were talking about. Xinyao seemed to know what I wanted to do. She waved her hand and called the waiter over. "Hello, could you please change my seat? I want to sit over there." "Thank you." Xinyao pointed at the seat behind Yu Xian and the man. I gave Xinyao a thumbs up and pulled her to sit in the booth. It just so happened that the booth had a gauze curtain. After the meal was served, we put down the gauze curtain so that the people outside couldn't see us. While we were eating, we carefully listened to the conversation of the two people behind us. "How's the preparation?" "Director Li." When we heard Yu Xian's voice, we realized that the man was Director Li. Xinyao and I looked at each other and nodded. It seemed that Yu Xian and that man were going to talk about something very important. Chapter 61. You still don't trust me? The man asked. "Miss Yu, we've already worked together for a long time. You should trust me." "Trust you? Last time, you said that woman could help me, but in the end, didn't Duan Muke ruin everything for me? I can't believe I gave you this chance. If you don't grasp it, I can guarantee that you won't get anything," Yu Xian said fiercely. Her tone was indeed her style. "Miss Yu, I understand what you mean. Don't worry. I'll definitely handle this matter beautifully for you. Is there any problem with that woman?" It seemed Yu Xian was talking about the matter that Duan Muke and I had overheard last time. I didn't think too much about it, and continued to listen to what she had to say. "That woman didn't want to come, but I talked to her a few times and she agreed," the man said with a chuckle. "You did something, didn't you?" Yu Xian wasn't an idiot. She understood what the man had done. Of course. Otherwise, how could she have been so obedient? "But there's one thing I don't understand. At that time, we agreed to carry out the plan in a week. Why did it suddenly get delayed?" "Actually, I didn't want it to be delayed. The plan was going well, but who knew that Duan Muxinyao would come back? That woman's appearance disrupted all my plans. I didn't want her to participate in my plan. She would definitely ruin it." It seemed that Xinyao had a great influence on Yu Xian. Could it be that Yu Xian was afraid of Xinyao? "Do you want me to take action and capture that woman?" Hearing Director Li's words, Xinyao couldn't sit still. I held her arm to stop her from being so agitated. Yu Xian said, "Just based on you? You dare to touch the eldest daughter of the Duanmu family? You're really daring. You have to be ruthless. If you're not ruthless, how can you achieve your goals? As long as you say it, I'll definitely accomplish it," the man said with a smile. "Forget it. I don't want to hurt her. If I hurt her, the Duan Muke would hate me." Yu Xian was still worried about Duan Muke's feelings. The man said, "Miss Yu, you're not as simple as you make yourself out to be. There's a demon in your heart. Since you like the Duan Muke, how could you have the heart to harm him? You don't understand. I didn't harm him. I just used some tricks to lead him bit by bit into my trap. What do you know? I don't agree with Yu Xian's way of doing things. She built her selfish love on other people's pain. This woman is too scary. You have too much character, but I like it. How about you follow me?" the man said with a smile. "Don't talk nonsense. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. You'd better make arrangements for tonight's matter. Don't affect my plan. Otherwise, I won't have a good time. And you won't have a good time either." Yu Xian's tone was obviously serious. "Yes, Miss Yu," after the man answered. The two of them didn't say anything else. Xinyao and I were afraid of being discovered by them, so we simply ate and left after paying the bill. After leaving the restaurant, Xinyao couldn't hold her temper anymore. She angrily said, "Yu Xian, you bitch. I didn't expect you to be so bad. Sister-in-law, why did you have to stop me? Why didn't you just let me beat her up?" I pulled Xinyao's arm and said, "Silly girl, if you rashly make a move on her, she will certainly be on guard. Your brother's plan, won't it be ruined? Trust your brother, and let him handle this matter." "But I'm so angry. I really want to beat her up. It's not that I don't trust my brother. It's just that I can't control myself when she insults my brother, and you like that." Xinyao angrily stomped her feet. I held her in my arms and patted her back. Be good, don't be angry. Let's go back and tell your brother about this matter. We'll see how he handles it. Okay. Xinyao held my arm, and we walked back to the venue. After returning to the venue, we found Duanmuke and told him what we heard Uxian and Director Li say. After listening, Duanmuke sank into deep thought. I looked at his furrowed brows and touched his face. What's wrong? He shook his head and said, It's nothing. Is it hard to handle? I knew what he was worried about. That's not it. These things are within my expectations. I'm just worried that my parents won't be able to handle this matter because of their reputation. At this time, Xinyao jumped in front of us. Brother, leave this matter to me. Dad and Mom, listen to me. I'll explain it to them. How are you going to explain this? How are you going to explain that Uxian did this? Do you have any proof? Duanmuke shook his head. Xinyao curled her lips. Then tell me what to do. I held Xinyao's hand and said, Your brother's concern is correct. Uxian definitely won't admit that she did this, nor will she show it. If something happens, she'll definitely push all the blame onto Director Li. She'll definitely protect herself. Duanmuke thought for a moment and said, I heard from Michelle that Director Li arranged for her to cause trouble at the start of our party tonight. But I've already told her what to say. I've also told her what to say. Then, Duanmuke turned to Xinyao and said, Xinyao, when our father speaks tonight, you'll stand next to Dad and Mom. You'll see what Michelle says, and you'll explain it to Dad and Mom. Don't worry. Leave this matter to me. Xinyao nodded. Duanmuke suddenly hugged me and said, I'm sorry, wifey. Although I know she's bad, I still can't kick her out of the house. I know you're not happy living with her. Can you give me some time? Brother. Why? Isn't it great to use this opportunity to kick Uxian out? Why can't you kick her out? Xinyao asked in confusion. Duanmuke hugged me even tighter and said, I'm sorry, I don't have any solid proof. I've already guessed it. Even if Director Li stands up and says that Uxian ordered him to do this, Uxian will be able to find an excuse to get rid of it. Without solid proof, I can't explain it to Dad and Mom. I hugged Duanmuke and patted his back. Hubby, don't think too much. I understand you. You don't have to bear it alone. We're a family. Why can't we bear it together? Besides, what else can she do? No matter what, I'll always be with you, right? Duanmuke hugged me and said, That's enough. Your words are enough. Chapter 62. Uxian stood by the side of the stage with nothing to do. I glanced at her, my heart calm. After all, she wasn't the main character of today's event. Duanmuke walked onto the stage. Standing in the middle of the stage, he spoke into the microphone. Everyone, please be quiet. The noisy crowd gradually quieted down, and everyone's eyes focused on the stage. Duanmuke continued. Today, we are holding a celebration of the 10th anniversary of the founding of the Kurosawa. We would like to thank all the members of the Kurosawa for their contributions to the Kurosawa. At the same time, we would like to welcome all the guests present. Now let us welcome the founder of the Kurosawa, Mr. Duanmutachio, to give a speech. The audience applauded. Duanmutachio walked to the middle of the stage and began to speak to the audience. In the crowd, I saw a man pulling Michelle from the back of the crowd to the front. Looking at Michelle's serious expression, I guessed that man was the so-called Director Li. The man pulled Michelle to the front. Duanmutachio was still talking nonstop about the history of the Kurosawa and his personal feelings. After about 10 minutes, Duanmutachio said, I would like to thank all the members of the Kurosawa for supporting the work of the Duanmu family. The Kurosawa will get better and better. Thank you. Duanmutachio bowed deeply on the stage. The audience applauded enthusiastically. Duanmutachio walked to the back of the stage. Just then the man stood up and shouted, Wait! Duanmu Lixiong stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at the man below the stage. He asked seriously, Who are you? As the leader of the Kurosawa, there must be many things that you don't know about. The man looked at Duanmutachio. Especially your son. Hearing this, the audience went into an uproar. Duanmuke looked at me, indicating that I shouldn't be impulsive. Everything should be within his expectations. Duanmu Lixiong calmed down and said, I believe in my son's character. Since you came here with a purpose, then say what you want to say. The man pulled Michelle to the front. Pointing at her, he said to Duanmu Tachio, celebrities don't beat around the bush. When your son was negotiating with our company, he slept with this woman from our company at your Black Mamba Hotel. Hearing this, the audience's discussion became even louder. God, I didn't know that young Master K was this kind of person. He used to be a womanizer. I thought he would change a little after he got married. I didn't expect him to be so stubborn. What's wrong with this woman? How could young Master K do this to her? Could it be that she seduced young Master K? Hearing the discussion, Duanmu Tachio's face became more and more unsightly. He turned to look at Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu K looked at him calmly and didn't say anything. Duanmu Tachio turned to the man. Do you have any proof that Duanmu K did this? The witness is right here. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. Then he pushed Michelle forward. Duanmu Tachio said to Michelle, tell me the truth. If it's true, the Duanmu family will take responsibility for you. If I find out that you lied to me, you should know what I will do. Michelle stood in front of the stage and let out a long breath. That night, I really did spend the night in the same room as Duanmu Quebec. Duanmu Tachio's eyes widened, and he looked at Michelle in disbelief. At this time, Xinyao walked to his side and supported him. Dad, don't worry. Let's finish. The man stood behind Michelle and looked at Duanmu Tachio with a proud expression. I glanced at Yu Xian out of the corner of my eye. Her face was as calm as ever. Michelle looked at Duanmu Tachio and said, but nothing happened between us. Also, Duanmu K didn't take me into the room. I was forced to stay there. Hearing Michelle's words, the man's face turned green. He pulled Michelle and said, what did you say? Don't talk nonsense. Michelle shook off the man's hand. My company's directorly asked me to do all this. He took advantage of the party to get Duanmu K drunk and made me stay in his room. He threatened that if I didn't seduce Duanmu K, he would hurt my family. I had no choice but to agree. But Duanmu K didn't do anything to me. I swear everything I've said today is the truth. Michelle cried. The man was so angry that he pushed Michelle to the ground and wanted to kick her. Han Hao walked in front of the man and stopped him. Two other people rushed in and helped Michelle up. Duanmu Tachio said to Han Hao, take this man to the side. Then he said to Michelle, it's okay. You can continue. I didn't want to come today, but that man forced me to come, Michelle said with tears streaming down her cheeks. Then why didn't you say what he asked? Duanmu K walked to Duanmu Tachio's side and looked at Michelle. It seemed that this was a secret signal between the two of them. What they were going to say next should be what Duanmu K told them beforehand. Michelle glanced at Duanmu K and then said to Duanmu Tachio, I just want a chance to live. I hope that if I tell the truth, the Kurosawa can help me. The crowd below the stage started talking again. So there's a secret. This girl is so pitiful. Yeah, I wonder how boss will deal with this. It's not her fault. He probably won't make it hard for her. Duanmu Tachio looked at Michelle and said, as long as you tell me everything you know, I can send people to protect you and your family. At this time, Xian Yao grabbed Duanmu Tachio's arm and said, Dad, don't you think this is a bit strange? If it's just for the benefit of their company, they wouldn't need to make such a big fuss. Xian Yao looked at Duanmu Tachio with a smile. Yes, as long as it's someone related to this matter, you have to tell them all. Duanmu Tachio was very smart and understood Xian Yao's meaning. I turned to look at Yu Xian, who was standing at the side of the stage. Her expression became very ugly. It seemed that she didn't realize that she was going to be checkmated. She didn't go up to explain anything. She just stood there with a serious expression and clenched fists. It was our director Lee who told me to do this. He told me to come here today to frame Duanmu K, and then use this as a bargaining chip to negotiate terms of cooperation with the Black Skeleton Group and expand his own benefits. Alright K.R., cancel the cooperation with their company, take back all the funds and resources, and then arrange for the legal department to take them to court. Duan Mutachio roared angrily. The audience instantly became silent. Chapter 63. Director Lee suddenly rushed in front of Michelle and said to Duan Mutachio, "You can't do this. According to the contract, if you break the contract, you have to pay us compensation. You better think about it." Duan Mutachio looked at him and said, "In my eyes, compensation is a small matter. As long as I take you to court, you will naturally go bankrupt." Director Lee looked at Duan Mutachio with his mouth wide open. He stood there blankly without saying a word. Duan Mutachio glared at him, and then said to Han Hao, "How dare drive him out. Don't affect everyone's mood." With that, he prepared to leave the stage. Han Hao walked in front of Director Lee and blocked his way. "Director Lee, please." Director Lee wanted to rush onto the stage, but was stopped by Han Hao and a few others. He unwillingly said to Duan Mutachio, "Let me go. I was forced to do this. Someone forced me to do this." Duan Mutachio stopped and turned around to look at him. "What? Who forced you?" At this time, Yu Xian walked in front of Duan Mutachio. "Uncle, the banquet in the banquet hall is ready. The Kurosawa executives have all been seated. They're just waiting for you and Auntie." Duan Mutachio looked at Yu Xian and nodded. He didn't pay any more attention to Director Lee and turned around to walk into the banquet hall. After Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya left, Xinya walked to Yu Xian and stopped. She looked at her and said, "You appeared at the right time. Aren't you afraid that people will guess that you are the mastermind behind this?" With that, she also walked into the banquet hall. Director Lee was still shouting himself hoarse outside. Han Hao brought a few people and dragged him outside. Yu Xian looked at him standing there like a clown, and a trace of disappointment appeared on her face. I walked to Yu Xian's side and looked at her. "Let's talk." Yu Xian turned to look at me and nodded. I walked out of the banquet hall and went to the coffee shop near the banquet hall. She hesitated at the door, but still followed me in. I deliberately chose the seat she and Director Lee had sat in at noon and sat down. She sat across from me and looked at me without saying a word. I won't beat around the bush. Today's scene was directed by you, right? I ordered 2 cups of coffee and said. Yu Xian smiled. "Do you have any proof that I did it?" I touched the sofa and said, "Yu Xian, you're so smart. You should be able to guess that we all know about your and Director Lee's plans." Yu Xian was stunned for a moment. She looked at me and said, "Actually, I don't know. Until just now, when I heard that woman didn't follow my instructions, I knew that my plan had failed. But you didn't really think that I would guess that you were the one who ruined my plan, did you?" I looked at Yu Xian. Her eyes were filled with disdain. I smiled and said to her, "No matter who it is, you've lost this time. Please don't do something like this again in the future and hurt everyone. I should have told you that you're not that cruel. Your weakness has been used by me time and time again, but you can't do anything to me. So what if I hurt others? I'm selfish. I only did it for myself. Besides, without any proof, do you think that Duan Mutachio and Xiao Fengya will easily believe you or Duan Muxinyao?" Yu Xian held her coffee and looked at me with a smile. If it was Duan Muke, Mom and Dad would definitely listen. My words seemed to have pierced Yu Xian's heart. She stopped what she was doing and stared at me without blinking. I looked at her and said, "Duan Muke and I heard everything you said outside the house, including what you said when you met him here at noon. You're right, I'm not that smart. I didn't come up with the plan to sow discord. Duan Muke had already bribed Michelle the day after she spent the night with him. The reason why she continued to stay by Mr. Lee's side and followed your plan was to play out this show with you." Yu Xian put down her coffee. She lowered her head and said to me, "Is that really what happened?" I leaned back on the sofa and said to Yu Xian, "I don't want to fight with you, but you can't win against Duan Muke because your feelings for him have already clouded your cruel heart. So this is the last time I'm warning you. Don't do anything to hurt Duan Muke's family. You'll never get the result you want." Yu Xian smiled and said, "If I wanted to give up, I would have done it a long time ago. But there's no other way. None of you can understand how I feel about him." She sighed and then said to me, "Do whatever you want. If you want to tell Duan Mutachio and Xiaofingya, then just say it. I'm already prepared. It's nothing. I looked at Yu Xian and shook my head. I told you, this is the last chance I'm giving you. I hope this kind of thing won't happen again. At that moment my phone rang. It was Duan Muke calling me. When I picked up, I heard him screaming at the top of his lungs. Wifey, where are you? Come save me. Xian Yao wants to kill me. Save me. Xian Yao has mutated. Black lines flashed across my face. As I listened to the ruckus on the other side, Xian Yao suddenly snatched Duan Muke's phone and said to me, Sister-in-law, where did you go? Come quickly. My brother is having a party at Shallow Bar. Come quickly. Let's work together to get him drunk. I said awkwardly, Okay, take it easy. I'll be right there. I put down the phone and glanced at Yu Xian. She was also looking at me. I said to her, I should go. Coffee is on me. I hope you remember what I said. It's Duan Muke, right? Yu Xian lowered her head and didn't look at me. I sighed and said, Yes, he's having a party at Shallow Bar. He and Xian Yao are waiting for me. I have to go. Do whatever you want. I stood up and walked to the bar to pay for the meal. When I turned around, I saw Yu Xian standing behind me. I was startled. I patted my chest and looked at her. What are you doing? You scared me. Let's go together. Yu Xian smiled and looked at me. I looked at her suspiciously and asked, You want to go too? She crossed her arms and looked at me. There's no rule that says I can't go to Shallow Bar, right? Of course, I only said let's go together. You don't have a car, right? My car is parked across the street, so let's go together. Just to thank you for the coffee. She waved her car keys in front of me and walked towards the door. I looked at her figure. Although I didn't know what she was planning, I still decided to go with her. She probably wouldn't do anything to me. Chapter 64. On the way there, Yu Xian and I didn't speak. It wasn't a long distance, but because of the awkward atmosphere, it felt especially long. Finally, we arrived at the Shallow Bar. When Yu Xian and I entered the bar, we saw that the entire bar had been booked by the Kurosawa. In the booth facing the stage, I saw Duan Muke and Xinyao. There were also a few girls and boys with them. In the crowd, I saw Han Hao. It seemed that today was a gathering of the Kurosawa's younger generation. I walked towards them, and Yu Xian followed closely behind me. Xinyao saw me first. She ran in front of me and hugged me tightly. Sister-in-law, you're here. Quick, my brother is almost done drinking. I looked at her with a helpless expression. You got him drunk. I can't do anything to him. At this time, Duan Muke pushed through the crowd and saw me. He ran over and pulled Xinyao away. Then, he hugged me tightly and said pitifully, Wife, you're finally here. Wife, save me. My damned sister forced me to drink. Okay, let's not drink. I gently patted his back and helped him sit down. Then, I poured a glass of water for him to drink. He leaned on my shoulder and closed his eyes. It seemed that he was really suffering. I raised my head and looked at Xinyao. Girl, how much did you make him drink? Xinyao whispered in my ear. 2 bottles of pure vodka. Hee. Hearing her laughter, I couldn't help but shiver. I gently touched Duan Muke's face. No matter how good a man is, there will always be a woman he can't handle. I guessed that Duan Muke had been controlled by his sister since he was young. Xinyao turned around and saw Yu Xian standing off to the side. Her bright smile disappeared, and she glared at Yu Xian. What are you doing here? Yu Xian sat on the chair across from Xinyao. No one said that I can't drink in this bar. She turned around and called the waiter over. In front of Xinyao, she ordered some drinks. What a jinx. You really are a jinx. My good mood was ruined by you. Xinyao pursed her lips. Then she moved closer to my ear and asked, Sister-in-law, what's going on? I told Xinyao about my conversation with Yu Xian, as well as what happened when I came here with her. Xinyao stood up and looked at Yu Xian. She put her hands on her hips and said, Okay, I'll give my sister-in-law some face today. You play your game, we play ours. We won't interfere with each other. Yu Xian looked at her and sneered. Xinyao's temper flared up. She shouted at Yu Xian. What are you sneering at? If it weren't for my sister-in-law's face, I would have kicked you out. Do you think you can still be here? The girls were afraid that Xinyao would get too worked up, so they tried to persuade her to sit down. Yuxian just looked at her quietly and didn't say a word. After Xinyao returned to her seat, she pulled a long face and didn't smile at all. Han Hao sat next to her and didn't say anything. Duanmuke leaned on my shoulder with his eyes closed. It seemed he wasn't in a good state. Xinyao picked up a bottle of wine and began to pour it into her mouth. I motioned to Han Hao to snatch it away. Han Hao snatched the bottle from Xinyao and didn't let her drink anymore. Xinyao leaned on his shoulder. The two of them didn't say anything. As I looked at the two of them, that indescribable feeling welled up in my heart. After a while, Duanmuke seemed to have recovered a bit. He leaned on the sofa and rubbed his sleepy eyes. When he saw me, he hugged me and said, "Wifey, you're here." His body reeked of alcohol, but I didn't want to let him go. I hugged him tightly and gently patted his back. "You drank too much. Don't do it again." Duanmuke hugged me tightly. "I know I was wrong, wifey. I was wrong. I won't do it again." At this time, Xinyao patted Duanmuke's shoulder. Duanmuke turned to look at her. Xinyao asked, "Gij, are you feeling better?" "You bad sister. How can you make me drink like that? You made me drink a bottle of wine in just a few mouthfuls. You want to kill me, don't you?" Duanmuke pinched Xinyao's nose. Okay. I was wrong. Gij, have you seen Han Hao? He was here a moment ago. I don't know where he went." Xinyao rubbed her eyes and looked at Duanmuke. Duanmuke said, "I didn't see him. I just woke up. Why don't we go look for him?" We looked around. At this time, Xinyao pulled Duanmuke's hand and said seriously, "No need. I saw him." Xinyao got up and walked to the center of the dance floor. Although there weren't many people, the dance floor was full. Everyone was twisting their bodies to the music. At the center of the crowd, a figure appeared. It was Han Hao. The person standing next to Han Hao was Yuxian. I didn't know what they were talking about. They were twisting their bodies to the music and looking at each other. Obviously, Xinyao was angry. Duanmuke and I followed her to the dance floor. Xinyao walked in front of Han Hao and Yuxian. She first looked at Han Hao, then at Yuxian. She reached out and slapped Yuxian's face. Han Hao pulled Xinyao and said, "What are you doing?" Xinyao turned around and looked at Han Hao. "Are you yelling at me?" Han Hao didn't say anything. He just pulled Xinyao's arm and didn't let her move. At this time, Yuxian took out a bottle of wine from somewhere and threw it at Xinyao's face. "Ah!" Xinyao cried out. While wiping the wine off her face, she called out, "Yusin!" Duanmuke and I saw this scene. Duanmuke stood in front of Xinyao and snatched the wine glass from Yuxian's hand. He threw it to the ground and glared at Yuxian. I quickly walked in front of Xinyao and took a tissue to wipe the wine off her face and body. "Let go of me." Xinyao broke free from Han Hao's arm and slapped Han Hao's face. Han Hao covered his face and looked at Xinyao without saying a word. Xinyao looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Adulterous couple." Then she turned around and ran to the bathroom. Han Hao stood there with his head down and didn't say a word. I whispered a few words in Duanmuke's ear and pulled Han Hao towards the entrance of the bar. After we walked out of the door, I let go of Han Hao's hand. He stood in front of me, the right side of his face slightly red and swollen. I looked at him, but didn't know what to say. "You want to ask me why I was dancing with Yuxian on the dance floor, right?" Han Hao looked at me and said, "If you want to say it, then say it. I don't want Yuxian to be happy, and I don't want Xinyao to be wronged." I looked at him and said, Han Hao looked at me and pulled my hand. "Then you want to make me sad?" Chapter 65. I stared blankly at Han Hao and shook off his hand. "Han Hao, let go of me. What do you mean by that?" Han Hao looked at me and suddenly hugged me. "Shaoli, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What's wrong with you? Let go of me first. Let's talk nicely." I struggled, but Han Hao didn't seem to have any intention of letting me go. "Shaoli, can you let me hug you for a while? Just for a while." Han Hao suddenly choked with sobs. I stopped struggling and quietly leaned into Han Hao's embrace. I hadn't felt the warmth of his embrace for a long time. I didn't know why, but Han Hao's insecure embrace made me feel very uncomfortable. After a while, Han Hao let go of me. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, which were extremely red. He looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. I couldn't control my emotions." I sighed and said, "What's going on? Why did you suddenly become like this?" Han Hao said, "Just now, Yu Xian sent me a message and asked me to pretend to dance with her on the dance floor. She said she had something important to talk to me about. She said it was about you. I didn't know what she wanted to talk about, but I still agreed. She told me that she hated you and Duanmu K being together, and that she would do everything in her power to break you two apart." "Did she really tell you that?" I looked at Han Hao. His eyes were filled with helplessness. Han Hao nodded. "That's what she told me. When I heard her say that, I was very angry. I warned her not to do anything that would hurt you and Xiao Quebec. But she said that the more I cared about you, the more she would use me against you too. I was very scared." At that moment, Xian Yao rushed over. "Then why did you stop Xin Yao?" I looked at Han Hao and asked. "Yu Xian is a person who harbors evil intentions, and Xin Yao's temper is so bad. If by any chance she gets angry and does something to harm Xin Yao, how am I going to explain it to Duanmu K? How am I going to explain it to Uncle Duanmu and Auntie Duanmu?" It seemed like Han Hao was doing this to protect Xin Yao. "Do you know Xin Yao likes you?" I didn't avoid the topic and directly asked Han Hao. Han Hao nodded and said, "I know, but I can't accept her feelings for me." I grabbed Han Hao's shirt and asked, "Why can't you accept it? Don't you know how much she likes you? Don't you know how sad she was when she saw you protect Yu Xan?" I didn't know why I was so emotional. I looked into his eyes, and my heart was beating very fast. Han Hao hugged me again and said, "I can't accept her because I already have someone else in my heart." I knew that the person he was talking about was me. I didn't expect him to hug me. I struggled, but Han Hao hugged me even closer. I was angry, so I reached out and slapped Han Hao's face. I stared at him blankly. He laughed coldly and stood there, feeling the mark of my slap. Tears flowed down his face again. Seeing his tears fall, my heart softened. I reached out and touched his face. "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I understand. I know what I'm doing. I know that you and Duanmu K are together, but I still think about you. But I can't control my heart from thinking about you. I think about you all the time." Han Hao looked at me, his eyes filled with tenderness. My feelings were very complicated. I took back my hand from his face and lowered my head. "Thank you. I know you're good to me, and I understand your feelings for me. But I'm sorry. I can't accept your feelings. Right now, my heart only has Duanmu Quebec. I'm sorry. I understand. I know what you mean. Don't worry, I'll hide my feelings for you. I won't express them, and I won't bother you anymore." Han Hao turned around and prepared to enter the bar. I grabbed Han Hao's clothes and said, "Wait a minute." Han Hao stopped, but didn't turn around to look at me. "Han Hao, I hope you can carefully consider Xin Yao's feelings for you. She's a good girl. I hope you can seriously consider being together with her. Since I couldn't have him, I should hope for him to live a good life. Since Han Hao and I couldn't be together, I hoped Xin Yao could stay by his side. I'll seriously consider it." After saying this, Han Hao walked into the bar. Looking at his back, I felt very sad. I only hoped that he could live a good life. I also walked into the bar. Duanmu K was still sitting in the booth with Xin Yao sitting next to him. She looked unhappy. Duanmu K seemed to be comforting her. He was whispering something into her ear. I walked over to Duanmu K and patted him. "How is it?" I asked. Duanmu K pulled my hand. "Not too good. Xin Yao is really sad this time. She hasn't smiled even once. She's already drunk 5 or 6 bottles of wine. When I didn't let her drink, she threw things. I had no choice but to compromise. What do you think we should do? Was she this good at drinking before?" I glanced at Xin Yao and turned my head to ask. She was very good at drinking before. Once Dad, Mom, and I took turns drinking with her. Dad drank white wine, Mom drank red wine, and I drank foreign wine. We all took turns drinking, but we still couldn't beat her. People who know her say that she won't get drunk even after 1,000 cups. But drinking too much is bad for the body. Seeing her like this as her brother, I feel very uncomfortable. Duanmuke shook his head helplessly. How about we let Han Hao talk to her? Han Hao came back. Did you see him? I looked at Duanmu Quebec. Didn't he come back with you? I haven't asked yet. What did you two talk about? You told me that you wanted to talk to him. And then you pulled him away. What did you talk about? Duanmuke asked as he put his arm around my shoulder. I thought about how Han Hao had hugged me and confessed to me. My face burned. I looked at him and said, what could I say? I just advised him to have a good talk with Xinyao. Did you see him or not? Duanmuke looked around and then said, no, he didn't come here. Okay then. I sighed. At this moment, Xinyao suddenly stood up. Her eyes were looking at the center of the stage. She walked towards the stage. Duanmuke reached out and grabbed her arm. Girl, where are you going? Xinyao didn't say anything. She shook off Duanmuke's arm and walked straight to the stage. She picked up the microphone on the stage and turned off the music. Standing on the stage, she said to the audience, I am Duanmu Xinyao, the eldest daughter of the Duanmu family. I think it's been a long time since you've seen a killer battle. Now I will officially challenge someone. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.